What is up, everybody? It is a fantastic Friday here on 10-4 Broadcasting, and tonight the action couldn't get more exciting as we are in week number 2 of the High Octane Sim Series playoffs here at Daytona, and I am joined by my main man, Mike Maddox. How you doing tonight, Mike?
I'm doing good. Looking forward to some super speedway action here this evening.
Oh man, if it's anything like it was here last week in the High Octane Sim Series, the folks are in for quite a show as we saw that battle ensuing between Alan Bledsoe there towards the end. Saw him run out of gas. We saw a battle ensuing between Riley Hoots and Parker Collins. We saw that collision on pit road that cost Riley the race. And we saw Parker having to hold off Matthew Badby as well in second place. So what a race this is expected to be here tonight at Daytona, because I know a lot of these drivers here tonight, their specialty is the super speedway.
Well, everybody's specialty is super speedway action on the service. You always see a lot of people come out in full force for super speedway action every week, whether it's Daytona, Talladega, sometimes even the iRacing super speedway for that matter.
Oh, yeah, and the stakes couldn't be any higher here tonight, Mike, as we only have 5 playoff races here in this series. So after tonight, we head to the Roval at Charlotte. So what a big race this is expected to be here tonight at Daytona as we take a look at these real weather settings here in the High Octane Sim Series. It is that Florida weather that we're all used to down here, that cool 81 degrees, got a little bit of rain in the air, partly cloudy, and just a little bit of wind coming down onto the track here, Mike. And, man, a lot of action to look forward to here tonight.
Definitely. Daytona brings a different animal here. This is where you're going to be talking about the draft. You're talking about teammates, drivers working together. And we have a name up front. As we're showing you our starting lineup. For tonight's race, you got Parker Collins sitting in P1, followed by Kevin Bullock sitting in P2, followed by the 89 of Matthew Batsby, and 45, which he's got a new sponsor here this weekend, in Darren Straff. Nick Offord, your series admin, starts P5. Riley Hoots in that 24, P6. P7 is Nick Shaw in that number 8, followed by Alan Bledsoe in that 42. James Brosker in that legendary number 3, starting off P9. P10 is Phoenix Mattern. I believe he's a new driver here this evening. In the 26 car, Robert King rolling out P11. Matthew Wilson in the number 48, rolling off P number 12. Kelly Thomas, P13, net 51, and Rye Lewis rounding out your field with provisional P14.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It is quite a murderer's row at that top, but here we go. The green flag is about to drop here in the Daytona 150 here as Parker Collins is going to take that green flag to start things off here in playoff week number 2 in the High Octane Sim Series.
Right off the bat, we are going single file. This is something you rarely see at a super speedway this early.
You see Matthew Badby right behind Parker Collins heading down into the backstretch here. We're on lap number 1. Right behind him, we have the admin here in the High Octane Sim Series, Nick Alford, right behind him as well. Riley Hoots, we talked about how he had a rough week with things last week. That pit road collision. As you're seeing that 24 machine rocking that throwback scheme to Jeff Gordon there.
And that throwback scheme on the outside. And the 89 is a throwback to Michael Waltrip.
Not a lot of drivers throwing a tribute to Michael Waltrip there, but you see that 89 machine now leading the way here at Daytona. Matthew Badby finished second last week there. Mike, we talked about the battles that were ensuing in this first race here in the High Octane Sim Series. This is playoff race number 2. But man, playoff race number 1, that was quite a battle. As I mentioned to start this broadcast off, Alan Bledsoe we thought was going to take things home in that 42 machine. Ran out of gas. The whole race changed when that happened because then Parker Collins was able to overtake. And then you saw Parker Collins and Riley Hoots have a pit road collision that took Riley Hoots out of the race. And Allen actually almost came back up into the lead pack there, finished third in that race. But we're in for it here tonight, folks. If everything plays out the way we are expecting it to, you're in for quite a show here in the High Octane Sim Series. As you see, Babby's going to lead him down into 3 and 4. Riley Hoots in that 24 machine's right behind him. You see the 42 is a throwback here tonight. But, folks, we can't reminisce without looking at Darren Staff and that 45 rocking that custom 10-4 broadcasting race car here tonight. Usually rocking the Big Dog Racing scheme, but we do appreciate him rocking that brand new logo scheme for us here tonight. Something we worked hard on getting that done for the folks in these leagues for them to throw it on their race car, and Darren definitely took it a step further, Mike.
Most definitely. I know I'm talking in a few drivers to get some sponsors myself in here. Hopefully maybe next week I'll have a car with my team on it. But looking at that paint scheme, man, that's great work right there. Speaking of schemes, look who's behind them. We have a throwback to Dale Earnhardt Jr.
That's the 48 there, and we do want to give a special shout out to Heat Wave Designs for creating that awesome logo you see, that high resolution files and vector files that allows these drivers to put it on those race cars there. So go check out Heat Wave Designs whenever you get a chance to. They did an awesome job with that design that you see on the 45 of Darren's staff. We're checking out that 48 there, Mike, and on the grid, yep, that's Matthew Wilson there. Usually rocking a Lowe's Motor Speedway paint scheme there, but you're seeing that single file tandem building up on that backstretch already.
Speaking of tandem, our newest driver in the race this evening, the 46 of Phoenix Merdaden. If I apologize if I'm getting your name incorrect. Looks like he has lost the draft. And right now he's just along for the ride. He's hoping for a caution.
Yeah, Mike, we saw it in our Thursday night broadcast here with 10-4 broadcast, and we saw a large green flag run majority of the race. We actually thought the race was over because the leader had such a gap on second place, and then with about 20 or 30 laps to go, we finally saw our first caution of the race, and man, did the action pick up in that Thursday night league, and that was the International Racing League, our first broadcast here at 10-4 Broadcasting with them. But you see, this is a single file tandem stacking up on that bottom line there, Mike, and as this race proceeds on, what do you think the folks at home are going to start seeing here as this race shapes up? You're going to start seeing that bottom line be the preferred line, or you're going to start seeing guys drift out to that top side?
You're mostly going to see the preferred line, that inside line. That's going to be the fastest line, unless we can get some people up top, which I believe we're looking at. Let's see, that 45 in our lead car this evening. Try to spread the word and say, hey, I'm up here, let's go, what's the front?
Yeah, and you saw the battle ensue last week here in the High Octane Sim Series. It's basically these same 4 drivers that you see at the top of the grid right now was the battle that we saw last week, Mike. And as I said, a few things shook up. We saw a few of these drivers get caught up with either it was fuel mileage, and it was collisions on pit road, and all in all, it was Parker Collins who claimed playoff race number 1 here, and he needs to do that as Matthew Badby headed into these playoffs with a 10 bonus points after winning the All-Star race. As you see Matt Wilson go to the high side there with James Brussucker right behind him. You see Darren Staff's trying to catch that draft off the 0-1 there. You see James Brussucker up there with Matthew Wilson, that 40 AC, Kelly Thomas in that 51. They're trying to catch the draft off of Robert King in that 5.
And you see how fast the draft you can suck up to the driver in front of you.
Yeah, and they really need to do that on that high side lane. You need to stack up as many cars as possible. As you see Robert King get low on the apron there, below the yellow lines. They're heading down into 1 and 2 here. So Matthew Badby is your race leader. Riley Hoots in that 24 is in second place. Then you have Alan Bledsoe in that 42 in third. Actually, that's Parker Collins at 54 up there, the Big Dog Racing team. And Nick Alford is going to be our top 5 right now, folks. But we do see that outside lane starting to stack up there on the backstretch. See if they can catch up to this lead pack here. But right now, it is a choo-choo train heading around this track here. As you see, that bottom line is just sticking around the track.
Definitely. And there's a lot of things, you want to play out here this evening. We're going to be looking at fuel strategy. You figure the first stage is going to be ending at lap 30, and then we've got lap 60. So these drivers are going to be, as we have a battle for second place. As a 24 scooted up just a tad bit, left that inside lane open.
As you see Riley Hoots go to the outside to try to get that outside lane just a little bit more speed. Oh no! And you see Ryan Lewis get caught up with James Brussucker out there in the bottom of the pack. Clicks Kelly Thomas there as they're entering into 3. Going to bring out our first caution of the race here, folks, on lap number 10. Oh man, I saw it just out of the corner of the point of view there, Mike. So we're going to rev up that 10-4 broadcasting replay for the folks at home. I saw it happen. I saw Ryan Lewis get really loose there at the tail end of that pack.
Ooh, right
Oh
there.
no. Oh no, it looked like it was James Brussucker in that 3.
Looks like it started with the 20, or the 51 to be exact. Go right back on board here. Yes,
Oh yeah.
51.
Yeah, just got into the back of the 3 there, and the 3 collected the 20 as you saw the 3 get loose. Man.
It's that
You know,
draft.
that's just-
We see, and we were talking about it. There you go. He caught up very fast.
Yeah, Mike, you were just mentioning it there, that draft will really suck you in, and if you can't check up and you can't really get around, as you saw right there as that 51's going to head to the back bumper of the 3,
Go back.
going to catch a lot of speed there.
There we go. Coming out of 2. See him getting faster and faster.
You see here.
Everybody checks up.
Oh, no.
Boom.
Oh, man, and Matthew Wilson in that 48 was just a split second away from being caught up in that as well.
That was definitely a luck of the Irish, so to say.
Matthew Wilson is one of those drivers that unfortunately did not make the playoffs, just came a little bit short. I believe most of these drivers, except for James Brussucker in that 3, I know actually Ryan Lewis did make the playoffs there. I think the whole stable of the Big Dog Racing team did make the playoffs.
And I was told during, as you see some damage on the 42. Or 24, actually. But these drivers do have one fast repair. Yes, we do have damage on Riley Hoots, the back end of the car.
And I do want to run the folks at home through our setup here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. As Mike just mentioned a little while ago, stage number 1 will end on lap 30. Then we'll run another 30 laps. Stage 2 will end on lap 60. And then, of course, we'll shoot out for the last little bit there. And stage 3 will end on lap 50, or 150, excuse me. One thing I wanted to ask you, though, Mike, as an iRacer yourself, as we're taking a look at some big damage on the back of that 24 Riley Hoots, he can't catch a break here in the playoffs. You know, we saw contact with him and Parker Collins in the pits last week. But one question I had for you, Mike, looking at the setup here tonight, the drivers are only going to have 4 sets of tires. Now, I wanted to ask you, how big of a factor do you think that's going to play in the finish of this race?
For this race, tires, it's not going to factor as much as you think. If we do get a green flag pit stop, then I suggest maybe they take maybe right side tires, but under a caution, we are going to expect them to take 4 tires just to be a lot longer on track. One of the things that you notice with these next gen cars, and any car to be exact, is when you're taking weight or fuel out of the car, and the car burns that fuel, the back end is going to be lifting up in the air. So it's going to be a factor of whether these cars can survive. The tire wear is not big, but it's just like coming out of pit road. Getting on that apron. iRacing has different rules than NASCAR does. I know NASCAR allows you to merge in turn 1, but because of the past incidents and how people abuse that system in iRacing itself, they made it mandatory to go all the way around the track. So just that apron is just going to be a little tricky if you don't take tires. But you're definitely not needed tires there.
Yeah, definitely. I was kind of thinking about like the extra speed. Like if you were going to use a set of tires towards the end of the race, do you think it's going to add into like more speed, say if someone's running more laps on those tires?
No, it's more like the fuel. That's the only thing you're going to worry about in super speedways. As of right now.
This is true. As we see that. Yes, sir. We're about to go green, 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 green once again here at playoff week number 2 in the High Octane Sim Series. See him coming down into 3 and 4 now. Parker Collins is your race leader, but we have a side-by-side battle. See that side-by-side battle going on right now. You saw Alan Bledsoe up there as they're heading down the backstretch. See Parker Collins in that 54. He's up there as well, kind of picking up where he left off last week. Oh, man, that was a big move from Darren Staff there in that 45. Had to get back into line there. See Nick Offord up there as well. See the 01 of Bullock up there. You see they're back to that single file tandem already, Mike.
Yeah, single file. This is what to expect at super speedways in the first half of the race. The second half, when people start pitting, stages at this type of track, yes, it helps because doing official races at this track, you're doing a lot longer. It's definitely does get boring, to be honest with you. As a driver, running single file constantly. But once pit stops happen, it's going to get a whole different game.
Yeah, but what's not boring is that 89 and Matthew Badby is trying his hardest to get around Parker Collins already, Mike. You saw it on the backstretch there, really giving a lot of bumps on that back bumper. You saw him trying to ease down to the inside there on the corner, but there's really no room as they're both running the same line. Looks like the 89 is not wanting to waste any time to get back out in front and get that clean air.
Definitely seen the 45 trying ever so slightly to get up to that lead.
But he's got some good draft partners behind him in Kelly Thomas and Riley Hoots. But you see that 89 is really on the back bumper of that 54, really trying to separate themselves from the rest of the pack. As you see Nick Offord in that 22 right behind them. You see Bullock up there as well in that 01. And there goes Alan Bledsoe on that 42. He's going to try to use some of that speed around the corner, try to get around Bullock in that 01. He's going to have to find Darren Staff in that 45 right behind him and try to push him up there. As you see that 89 is really trying to get by. And there he goes, ladies and gentlemen. He's on that outside lane there, and he's got some help there already. He's got some big speed coming on the outside lane. Oh, man, that was a big move heading down into the corner.
Now the outside line is going to be the preferred lane. You got more 42 cars on the outside than you do the inside.
You see now Matthew Badway is going to overtake Mike. As they head down into 3 and 4, Matthew Badby's on the outside, Parker Collins on the inside, heading down into the front stretch. You see that 42's got a lot of speed as well. Really pushing that 89 along, but as you mentioned, Mike, there's a lot of speed now on that outside lane there. We saw it forming up with Darren Staff, James Brussecker up there as well. Saw a few more cars file out there, but now Matthew Badby is now our race leader by just a nose. It is basically they are all even Stevens on both lines there as Matthew Badby is going to try to file down, but ooh man, that is a bad move out of the 89 there, Mike.
That can cost you the race, or I mean, we've seen the drivers, we see them play safe. Sometimes, in official races, you would not see this. So this is, definitely good racing out of the guys here this evening.
And he gets stuck in what I like to call the danger zone lane there. Nothing ever happens good in that danger zone lane. We've been calling a few tracks here where we don't see a lot of cars get stuck in the danger zone. But definitely here at Daytona, that zone does exist. And what happens in the danger zone there is, either you can lose a lot of speed, as we saw with Matthew Badby there trying to make that block get stuck in that middle lane, or you're stuck in a conundrum where if a guy, underneath you on the inside lane gets loose or somebody on the top side gets loose, there's really nowhere you can go, so you're basically stuck in that position. As you see there, back side-by-side racing down into 3 and 4 here. Parker Collins, Matthew Badby in that 89. This is the battle that we saw ensue last week in playoff race number 1. See Alan Bledsoe up there as well in that 42 machine. We're trying to see which car can really get by here, Mike, as we're going to have about 10 laps to go here to end stage 1. As you see, they were battling down into 1 here, Mike. You see Nick Alford in that 22. Nick's one of those drivers that has really come on strong here. Came on strong here towards the end of the regular season. Only ran maybe about half of the races that the rest of the drivers here ran due to work and all that good stuff, but actually made the playoffs because made the most out of the races that we saw. But a big battle for the leads ensuing right now. They just flew by Parker Collins heading down into the corner, Mike.
And that's the power of the draft. We see them try to, get side by side, try to pull the inside away or towards the back and move them ahead. As
you see now, we have a new 1, 2, 3. Oh man, a big aggressive move from Parker Collins there to throw the block on Nick Alford heading down into the corner. You see Matthew Badby is now our race leader here, heading down the backstretch. You got Alan Bledsoe in that 42 right behind him. Parker Collins in that 54. They're going to try to go to the outside. You see Nick Alford's going to try. Let's see what Nick did is he baited the 54 there out to the outside. Now Nick's going to slide back right into the 3rd place position. It's going to leave Parker out on Revis Island there all by himself. You see the lines trying to form there on the top side, but what those maneuvers did there, Mike, it really let those 1-2 cars separate between Matthew Badby and Alan Bledsoe.
Yes, we see the 22 getting shuffled to the back.
He's in that danger zone lane, Mike, in the danger zone.
And this is not what you want to see when you're the leader. You don't want to see the pack get smaller because the pack will come and they'll come fast and they'll go right by you.
But you saw Nick Alford there. He went from 3rd down to 5th in less than a lap, folks, and all because you get stuck in the danger zone there. You get filtered back really fast, and as you see, they're starting to separate. As you see, Parker Collins is going to go to the outside with Darren Staff. Those are 2 cars out of the Big Dog Racing stable there.
And that's the momentum that we just seen. We just talked about it. Being that far back, you have the momentum, and we're going to see them go take the lead.
You see they're battling there now. Now the 42 of Alan Bledsoe is really trying to give the 89 a big push up there. Try to keep that car out front. As you see Darren Staff starting to fade just a little bit from the back bumper of the 54.
Oh, we see the 42 getting squirrely down there. That's something you do not want to do. Not at Superspeedway.
Oh, man. Man, this could be disastrous here for this lead pack. Bunch of big names up here battling it out here, folks. We're only on lap 24. As you see Alan Bledsoe on that 42. Like Mike said, getting squirrely right there, trying to get around the 89.
You want to be very careful when you are drafting and you're pushing that you do not push that, that one spot, I'm going to say the evil spot on these cars. Because that can, we see the 89 get squirrely. And if you do it, if he did it one more time, he would have been around.
And you see now they're going to head to the backstretch here. We'll see if any big moves ensue here. As you see, Parker Collins is now registering as our race leader here, as he's just inched out just a little bit out front of the 89 there, head down into 3 and 4. So Parker Collins and Matthew Badby. And as you see, Matthew Badby is now registered as our race leader here. You see a little bit of bump happening on that 42 machine, bumping that 89. And Mike, we're going to have less than 5 laps to go here in stage number 1. This has been high-octane action already here in playoff week number 2. And Mike, maybe we could take an onboard ride with that 42 to see exactly how close he is getting from that cockpit to the 89 there. As you see, they're going down the backstretch here. As you mentioned, he is getting a little squirrely. If you watch the hand movement there on the wheel, you see him kind of having to jerk the wheel around a little bit there, Mike. And wanted to ask you, as we're taking an onboard ride here with Alan Bledsoe, our third place car right now is going to be second as they're side by side here. These inboard cameras are brought to you by 10-4 Broadcast. We have our second caution on the track here, folks. Oh, man, and that's Robert King in that number 5. I almost put the commentator's curse on him there, Mike, because I was going to say he's running quite the race here tonight. He was up to the top 5 position there.
Definitely have to see exactly what happened. You see the 5 off track has a little damage. We'll rev up that 10-4 caution replay and find out exactly what happened. That is a lot
of damage. He was coming in to tonight with a lot of confidence. He felt like he had been putting in the work, a lot of practice. Felt like tonight was going to be his best race here in the High Octane Sim Series. We were seeing it here tonight, Mike. He was up to about 5th position there, really running strong on that topside lane. So we'll have to see exactly what happened to that 5 machine.
All right, here we go. Coming back here. I believe he had a little help.
Oh, man. Yeah, Mike, and if we could rewind that just a little bit there, I think we might have our first victim of the danger zone lane. As you see, Robert's going to drift down just a little bit into the danger zone. And Kelly Thomas, unfortunately really had nowhere to go. As you see, Robert's starting to drift down on the track, is in that danger zone lane, and just becomes our first victim of that lane, Mike.
I think what it was the 5 tried to come down. He sees right here. He sees a big gap, so he's like, okay, let me come down. And that's what he tried to do. He tried to come on down. He came down too much. And the 51 with the draft, that speed, just nowhere to go.
Nowhere to go there. That danger zone claims its first victim. We've seen it throughout here. We saw Nick Alford get caught up in that middle lane. We saw Riley Hoots get caught up in that middle lane. And unfortunate for them, like, they weren't caught up in any accidents. They were able to file back in. And as you mentioned, Robert King may have seen that gap there, tried to pursue that gap, and being in that middle lane, as you were just talking about there, the draft is so strong on either side of you, the inside and outside. You try to come down on somebody, that bottom line, they're just going to run through you. There's nowhere to go.
Definitely, if you're gonna come down like that, you want to make sure that you're either on the radio, mentioning to the person, though, hey, can I come down, or make the move before he gets that momentum, and that's basically what happened. He had the speed, coming back up, catching that draft, and we've seen it, the caution before, just the wrong place, wrong time.
Like I said, that is unfortunate for Robert King and that number 5 machine. As I mentioned, there was a lot of talk about the work he's been putting in here. He's really excited about Daytona, feeling like this could have been his race here tonight. But with that fast repair, I'm sure we'll see that number 5 machine back in the mix here tonight. And Mike, with only 3 laps to go in stage number 1, man, things have been crazy so far to start this action off here tonight.
Definitely. The one thing, we talk about the fast repair. You get one fast repair. So a lot of the drivers, they don't have to use their fast repair right now. As we see the 20 of Ryan Lewis involved in the early incident he may have not used his faster pair, trying to get as much damage fixed on pit lane, trying to save that faster pair because, you know, for iRacing, as I'm being told, that was the stage caution. So we are at the end of the first stage, 80 to 89, as Matthew Batsby has won the stage. This is
Matthew Badby there.
As from Race Control.
Yeah, Matthew Badby there ran a really good first stage there in that 89 and kind of just picked up where he left off last week. He finished second position there right behind Parker Collins. But Parker had built up such a lead there that, you know, there wasn't really anybody that could catch him last week there, Mike.
And we were talking about, you know, the damage and how iRacing dictates their damages. If you have like a little dent, iRacing will automatically use the faster pair. So a lot of these drivers, you know, have a cheat, or I should say, to where you uncheck it, automatically uncheck, so it's not automatically used. So as we're getting ready to go back green here.
Here we go, folks. Green, 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 green. Here's the start of stage number 2 in playoff week number 2 here in the High Octane Sim Series.
And we are going to lap 60 in this stage.
You see Kevin Bullock there. He's got a big restart there, but he's got one of those big dog racing stable cars right behind him. And Parker Collins, last week's winner here in the playoffs of the High Octane Sim Series. Oh, man. And a big move out of Rye Lewis there. He's going to go with his teammate there. And you see Bullock's going to try to make the block there on the backstretch, but you have 2 big dog racing teammates there. And don't look now. Here comes a third coming up right behind them, and Darren Staff there, Mike.
Teammates on the outside line. Now, will they have the help, or will the inside line capitalize and say, hey, I'm not going to go up there and help them?
Just like nobody wants to do the Cleveland Browns a favor right now based on that contract they gave Deshaun Watson. I don't think anybody wants to give the Big Dog Racing team any favors, as that's been the team so far this season. I don't think anybody wants to go to the outside and help that lane, Mike.
Looks like we've got some front runners back there. 24, Riley Hoots and Robert King back there.
And that 5 machine has now worked himself back into position after just that unfortunate accident we saw just a little while ago. Oh, man, close there on the corner. As you see now, Kevin Bullock still leading the way here. Is going to go ahead and cross the line number 1 here on lap number 30. But as we just mentioned, a Big Dog Racing 3-car tandem has built up on that outside lane there, and then they got Riley Hoots at the tail end of that, so definitely a lot of speed on that outside lane there as they're heading down into 1 and 2, now heading down into the backstretch. You see Darren Staff rocking that awesome 10-4 broadcasting paint scheme here tonight, as you see the 89 of Matthew Badby pull out of line to get back in. And Mike, for people that are unfamiliar with iRacing in the simulator, what causes that? What causes the driver to have to file out and then file back in?
I'm trying to think of my top of my head here. It's just the momentum. Which lane has the speed? We see it right there. The 89, and I'm gonna say the 8 or the 48. Junior Motorsports, or I should say DEI, or I should apologize and say I can't use that name. But the future or the past paint schemes we see here with the Earnhardt scheme right there in front of him. It's the momentum, the speed. You know, your mindset. Which lane's gonna go? Which lane's gonna move? As you've seen, you know, with the 5 trying to come down low, and he got tagged by the 51. Just didn't have this momentum on the outside, so he was like, okay, I'm going the inside, and the 51 was there.
And Mike, what goes through your mind as a driver if you're the 89 of Matthew Badby there? You notice that you're at the tail end of the pack. You know, you're registering about 11th position on the track. But you see all those cars in front of you. What goes through your mind in a race like this? Are you still confident in yourself you can get the job done? Or are you starting to think like, oh man, this race is not going my way?
It's the mindset is like, okay, You know what happens in a lot of races, so what might happen. But you also in the back of your head say, okay, let's try to go to the front, but let's not try to get, collected into anything. And my mindset is in a lot of the official races, because you're not racing against the same people constantly week in, week out. You just want to just ride, stay in the back, don't get involved in people's mayhem, and hope for the end of the race be a lot better. It's either you qualify up front, stay up to the front, or qualify in the back and stay towards the back and don't lose the draft. As you can, you can hear Matthew, getting off the throttle just a little bit, and he knows. You could see here, something might happen in front of him, but he's also trying to make sure he does not get in touch with that 45 in front, because he does not want a 3 deep or even 4 deep bump, because if you touch him, he can touch the guy in front of him and cause a little more mayhem.
You see him trying to catch the draft off of Darren Staff there. As you mentioned, he was letting off there, but a lot of speed there on the back bumper. He's going to ride that speed back down to the inside lane there. This is definitely not a position that we're used to seeing that 89 machine in. He is our regular season champ here in the High Octane Sim Series, but now he's at the tail end of this lead pack. Mike, so a lot of work to be done here out of our regular season champion. That's Matthew Badby in the 89 machine. Gonna have to fight through a lot of cars to work his way back up there. But as you mentioned, Mike, this track is synonymous with the big ones, if you will, sort of like Talladega. There are going to be some accidents in front of him. Now it's just trying to keep your cool to make sure that nothing happens in front of you and you don't get caught up in any type of craziness. But what a flip-flop of a race we have here tonight, Mike. As you see, these drivers right here, we're taking a look at Matthew Badby, Darren Staff, Parker Collins. Were actually just racing for the lead not too long ago.
Yeah, these drivers are... Oh, they see problems back there.
Oh, no! No! And that's Matthew Wilson in that 48. I believe he has caught up Darren Staff in that 45 as well. We were just talking about that tail end of the pack. We happened to flip back up to that lead car for just a split second. And man, I think it was a victim of the draft there. But we'll go ahead and rev up that 10-4 broadcasting replay for you. Maybe get a good look of that brand new 10-4 broadcasting paint scheme there on Darren Staff's race car. As you see, he's caught up in this accident here, Mike. Here we go. Taking a look at it here. Oh, man.
That is not on him. I believe we're going to go back and we're going to look at a different replay from Bledsoe. His onboard.
Oh man, Mike, it looks like the 48 just got really loose on that top side. No, maybe got bumped a little bit from behind.
Bumped by the 42. It's that the 42 had the momentum, didn't expect the checkup, and that's what happened.
Oh man, that's really unfortunate there. And you would take another look at it here. See the 42 is just gonna. Oh, this is an awesome view there, Mike. Gonna bump that 48. That 48 just gonna get really loose. There's nowhere that Darren Staff can go on the racetrack here, but let's admire that awesome 10-4 broadcasting paint scheme there on the 45 as you see the super slow-mo wreck here.
I think Matthew Wilson got the blunt onto the inside retaining wall. Thank you for the safety barriers. These drivers are still going to be safe and able to compete and go on and hopefully see one of them in victory lane, but man, that was a tough blow.
Indeed it was, but I'm sure we'll see that 45 of Darren Staff back up there as well, rocking that awesome paint scheme here tonight. And that paint scheme is brought to you by Heatwave Designs. If you haven't checked them out, go check them out at Heatwave Designs. But under our third caution here, Mike, we have less than 20 laps to go here in stage number 2, and what a race it has been so far. We've seen battle for the lead, with the drivers we're used to calling out here tonight, Mike, but now it's a whole different slew of drivers up there in the top 5.
Definitely, when you come to super speedway racing, it's look at NASCAR. I mean, you can say anybody in a race at Superspeedway can win that race. You know, you can have Timmy Hill come up and win that race. Rick Ware Racing come up and win that race. You know, anything is possible at a Superspeedway because everybody has almost the same package, so to say.
Indeed, and anything is indeed possible here. Shout out to Kevin Garnett, but I know what is possible here tonight, Mike, and that is my hunger for some awesome barbecue. And we can't go without that awesome picture that you got from Captain Jack Smokehouse of that wonderful plate of food that you show the viewers. Oh man, there it is. You show the viewers here every week this wonderful plate of food that you can find at Captain Jack Smokehouse there on Amelia Island, a wonderful sponsor here in the High Octane Sim Series. You see all the accoutrement here on the screen. You got your ribs, you got your smoked sausage, you got your chicken. You got some pulled pork on there. You got some mac and cheese, mashed potatoes. You got the bread to go with it. Man, it doesn't get any better than Captain Jack Smokehouse there on Amelia Island. One of the best spots to get your barbecue on there, Mike. And man, ever since you started showing this picture, my mouth waters every time you throw it up there on the screen.
Man, I'm hungry now as it is. This is makes it worse. If you're under 18 or over 18. Actually, if you're over 18, please drink responsibly. If you're under 18, please do not drink.
I think it's 21 there, Mike.
Oh, I apologize.
It is all good, but we do not apologize for the awesome food that Captain Jack Smokehouse puts out there. Go check them out on Facebook. Also give them a Google, Captain Jack Smokehouse there. If you are close enough to order DoorDash, see if they got that. If not, hop in the car, go pick it up. Now you can catch the end of this race here. We're munching on some Captain Jack Smokehouse there as we're about to go green flag racing here in playoff week number 2 of the High Octane Sim Series. And man, what a race it has been so far, Mike.
Most definitely. We see some new names up front that we normally don't see every week. But then again, you know, those the names we talk about every race, they're up there. But these new drivers, they're trying to say, hey, you had enough airtime. I want the airtime. I'm coming for this win.
Yeah, Mike, with only 5 races here in the playoffs, as Parker Collins can stay the course and win this race here tonight, they can really solidify that championship here. But here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We're back to green here in playoff week number 2 of the High Octane Sim Series. As you see, Kevin Bullock's going to lead them down onto the backstretch here. You got Nick Offer in that 22 right behind him. You got Riley Lewis pushing Parker Collins on the outside lane. You see Riley Hoots up there as well. Parker Collins going to inch out just a little bit there on the backstretch. See a lot of movement behind Parker there on the outside lane. Heading down into 3 and 4. See Riley Hoots up there as well, pushing Riley Lewis in that 20. Riley Lewis was able to sneak into the playoffs here for the Big Dog Racing team. But you see Darren Staffs back up there as well. In that 45, really trying to push his way up there as well, trying to get on that back bumper of Kelly Thomas. And you see Parker and Rye are going to slide right in front of Kevin Bullock there to overtake. Now they're going to be 1-2 here on the racetrack, heading down into 1, but you see Kevin Bullock go to the outside, and that 0-1 machine's going to try to make a move and have no help on the outside. There goes Nick Offer in that 22 to give him some help there, heading down into the backstretch of round 2 here. But you see Parker slide up there to throw that block. Oh, man! Parker's going to have to move off that line because there was too much speed there. You see Kevin's now going to lead them down into 3 and 4 here. Nick's now going to be solidified in 2nd position. Now Riley Hoot's going to overtake the Big Dog Racing team there. Slide into 3rd position as they're heading down into the front stretch here. And our race leader is once again Kevin Bullock with Nick Alford right behind him. Riley Hoot and now Parker Collins in that 54 is in 4th position. You see Riley slide out to the outside. They're looking for some help to get him up there as well. No help on that outside lane there. He's going to lose a lot of position. But there goes Matthew Bedby in that 89 and Alan Bledsoe in that 42. Trying to form a line out there. But once they're doing that, they're slowing down a bit. Darren Staff's going to slide right behind his teammates there, Mike.
And we see, the outside line, it's forming a pack. But the inside line, you see the 45 does not have the strength in the draft to catch up to his buddies or his teammates to try to close this gap.
Yeah, now the 8 of Nick Shell is going to drop down onto the inside lane. He's going to throw a block, but that could play into Darren Staff's favor there if he can catch the draft off the 8 of Nick Shell. Going to reel him into his teammates there, and what a move that would be to have 4 cars up there all from the same stable. Oh man, another big block out of Riley Hoots, and Matthew Badby are going to close the gap, but there goes Badby back out to the outside. Riley Hoots going to follow. There goes that 45, starting to catch that draft off the 8 just a little bit. It's got a big run heading down into 3 and 4 here, Mike. And if he can catch the tail end of that 8, get past the 8 there on the inside lane, and then you'll have 4 cars out of the same stable up there. Or 3 cars, excuse me, of Parker Collins, Darren Staff, and Riley Lewis. And you see he's going to try to go to the outside of Nick Shell here as they're going to cross the start-finish line. And down into 1, he's going to try to find the way around Nick Shell in that 8. What a race it's been so far out of the 8 machine here tonight, Mike. Nick Shell had a rough go of the regular season here. Actually is a playoff driver, but you see him. He's been overshadowed by a few of the drivers here that we usually call out. Parker Collins, Matthew Badby, Riley Hoots. But really racing a strong race here tonight at Daytona.
Again, as we talk about, you said about Riley Hoots being strong, but you know what? These new drivers that we don't, talk about, they're like, hey, we just heard our name. Wow, we're doing something. Maybe we should do this every week.
Yeah, and you see a different mix of drivers up there, Mike. You see Nick Alford up there. You see Kevin Bullock in the lead. Of course, behind him, you got Parker Collins, but then Riley Lewis is overshadowed by the rest of the drivers there in that stable. We don't really call his name out a lot, as we usually say, Parker Collins or Darren Staff, but Riley Lewis is definitely a solid driver, in all respect to him, in that 20. So we'll see if they can put another Big Dog Racing teammate into victory lane here tonight. But then behind him, as you mentioned, Nick Shell in that 8. A lot of these names that we don't really call out are in the mix here tonight amongst the big dogs here in the High Octane Sim Series. As you see, this top pack is now pulling away from the rest of the field here. Looking at that grid at the top of the screen, I believe there is about a 3 or 4 second gap, Mike, from what I'm seeing so far. You got 3rd place, 4th place, 5th place there, Nick Shell, 6th place of Riley Hoots. And then it drops to about the 9th position, is about 4 seconds away from 8th place. So this 8-car tandem that we see right here on the screen is really starting to pull away from the rest of the field. About 13 laps to go here in stage number 2. And you see this car is really running strong here tonight, Mike, and I believe I know the reason why they are running strong here tonight, and I believe some of these drivers may have had some W Energy before tonight's race. And if you haven't checked out W Energy, it is a brand new sponsor here in the High Octane Sim Series. Now, they are excited to announce they have partnered with the High Octane Sim Series. It was formulated to give you focus and energy with no jitters or crash. This formula contains vitamins, amino acids, and neuropix, including their patented Neuro Factor. If you are a gamer, sim racer, or just need a little extra energy to get you through the day, check out W Energy. W will get you through your day without giving you extra jitters or restlessness. To order, go check out dubby.gg and use coupon code HOSS at checkout. Again, that's dubby.gg. Use that coupon code HOSS. Get away from those overpriced coffees. Get away from those energy drinks that cause you all those jitters. Get away from those things that make you to crash. Go check out W Energy. Right now, use that coupon code HOSS at checkout. Get your discount. Get rocking and rolling like these boys here in the High Octane Sim Series.
And speaking about racing, I know we were supposed to put on a money race for you. This race has been rescheduled. A date and time will be announced shortly. The information provided by league officials in the HOSS Cup Series was that something had come up personally for the admin that was running the event. We will be putting the race on its rescheduled date and time. I will be participating in that event, which I do look forward to it.
Yes, sir, indeed. But that race will probably be scheduled in June sometime. But we're going to have less than 10 laps to go here in stage number 2 of playoff week number 2 here in the High Octane Sim Series. That race will fall just at the conclusion here at the High Octane Sim Series if all the dates are adding up correctly there. So what a way to conclude the season here in the High Octane Sim Series to race for some cash, Mike.
And speaking of cash, I believe there's also one other event. If you're interested in donating your race winnings to the Mission 22 charity event that's being also held. It's a good cause. Looking forward to seeing those drivers put on a great race and also putting a good cause to those winnings. Who knows? The winner of that race can go here and donate those race winnings.
Of course, Mike, and we'll check that out on June 30th and July 1st here. But we're at less than 9 laps to go here on stage number 2 of playoff week number 2 here in the High Octane Sim Series. As you see, Kevin Bullock's now leading the way right in front of Nick Offer in that 20 TC, Parker Collins that 54, heading down into 3 and 4 here. See Rye Lewis in that 20s trying to push around Parker in that 54, trying to get around their teammate. See the outside lanes trying to build up between Riley Hoots and Matthew Badby out there, but they really have no help on that outside lane there. I don't think anybody really wants to help them get up to the front. As you see now, Darren said, "Whoa!"
I just want to say, you know what I smell? I smell burning rubber, and that's the 62, or this week the 01, looking for that victory in this stage.
Yeah, really trying to solidify themselves here in the playoffs. You really need all the points you can get, but you see the old playoff banner on the top of that machine of the 01, so that is a driver that is not racing for championship points here tonight. They're just racing for bragging rights in that 01 machine of Kevin Bullock. So what a way to block off some of these championship drivers here tonight to go ahead and pick up that race victory. You know, you can walk away with a lot of confidence here tonight if you can get that race victory, knowing that maybe you're not racing for a championship, but you're just as good as the rest of those drivers. As you see, heading down into the corner here, we're going to have less than 7 laps to go here in stage number 2. Kevin Bullock is our race leader heading down into turn number 2. We've seen this so far here tonight, Mike, and this group, as solidified as they are, and they've built up what I like to call the choo-choo train of racing here. They've really checked out from the rest of the field here. As you see, Alan Bledsoe in that 42 is now looking at the grid about 7 seconds off the pace of the rest of these cars here. No, ladies and gentlemen, that is not 7 seconds away from the race leader. That is 7 seconds away from the next car in front of them. So quite a ways that they have separated from Alan Bledsoe in that 42. As you see, a lot of these cars are about tenths of a second away from each other. So really anybody's race here in this pack here. But of course, we'll get that competition caution in about 6 laps. It'll bring the field back together. As you wonder, Mike, as you watch them still stick to that tandem here, heading down the backstretch, do you think anybody's going to try to make a move here on Kevin? Do we try to get those, as you mentioned, those stage victory points here, or do you think you're just going to run this way to conclude the stage?
I believe that there's going to be a run. It's just going to be when, what point, and who's going with them.
Yeah, and I want the folks at home to keep an eye out on Darren's staff there. And no, it's not because I'm biased, because he's rocking a 10-4 broadcasting paint scheme here, but I really feel like he's in the best position there, right at the tail end, right behind Nick Schell in that 8. As you see, Mike, he's not really in trouble. He's hanging on to the rest of the pack there. As you see now, Riley Hoots is going to form right behind him, and Riley and Matthew are still trying to make a move on the outside. As you see, he's going to try to use that draft to get around, but only 2 cars out there. There's no way they're going to overtake. With Darren in that 45 right in that position, I feel like he's in the best position because if anything happens in that front pack, slide right through or use the momentum off the 8 to get up there with his teammates, really fight for the battle for the lead. So really liking the position that Darren Staff's in right here as we're taking an onboard ride with him here. And these onboard cameras are brought to you by 10-4 Broadcasting. And you see if he's going to try to make any moves here with less than 4 laps to go, or if he's just going to ride in this position here, Mike.
I think, if Darren does decide to go, he's going to need help. So it's like, if he does go, you got teammates in front. Will they stick together, or will they, break apart?
And it's almost like a gamble that you don't want to take there. As you see right out of the corner of the view there, Riley Hoots and Matthew Badby are still trying to make a move on that outside lane there, but it's about a 4 versus 2 battle there, almost like when I play Halo. You start getting in those crazy battles there where it's 2 versus 4, 5 versus 2. Now they have to file right back in there because they don't have enough speed to get around the rest of the pack. As you see, Kelly Thomas is going to go ahead and a lap down here. He's going to make the smart NASCAR move there to get out of the way of this fast pack. And you'll see if anybody from that Big Dog Racing stable is going to make a move here. It's almost like they're starting to try it out there, Mike, almost like trying out the free samples at Costco or Sam's Club. They're starting to see if they like those pigs in the blanket or if they like that new trail mix there, and just trying to see if they want to buy in, if they want to make that move just yet. Starting to see him get a little squirrely there. Thinking about it there, Mike.
Speaking of buy in, I think you were talking poker terms right there.
Yeah, you got to ante up if you want to get paid the big money there, Mike. And they're thinking about it. They got the money in their hand. They're thinking about putting it on the table. Just not ready to play just yet. As again, you see Riley Hoots and Matthew Badby on the outside lane trying everything they can to get around this pack here. But as you mentioned just a short while ago, if you don't have any help there, there's no really nowhere you can go.
I mean, it's going to be hard for the 24 of Riley and 89 and Matthew.
And here they go. Here they go, Mike. As you see, Parker Collins and Ryan Lewis are going to the outside, trying to get around Kevin Bullock here with less than 1 lap to go here. This is the final lap of stage number 2. As you see, Parker Collins at 54 is going to go ahead and lead the way here down into 1 and 2. You got Ryan Lewis there, going to throw the block on his teammate Darren Staff in that 45. Now, Darren rode that momentum up there, put himself in position. I love that position he was in right behind the 8 of Nick Shell, and you see contact made just a little bit there between Kevin Bullock and Parker Collins. As they're going side by side here down the backstretch, you see Kevin Bullock trying to get up that stage victory right now. And Riley Lewis is really digging on the back bumper of his teammate there, Parker Collins, but it doesn't look like they're going to have enough speed here. Oh, man, I hope they don't make contact there as Rye is going to go way to the outside there off the draft. But with that, it's going to end the stage there as it looks like Kevin Bullock is going to go ahead and pick up the stage number 2 victory here in the High Octane Sim Series playoff week number 2. Man, what a stage that was, Mike.
Definitely, that was an intense battle there for the end of the stage.
Man, I have to catch my breath on that one. They waited and waited and waited to about 3 laps to go there in the stage, and then bam, the move started to play. The money was on the table, to use that poker reference as you said, and people started drawing, ace king, ace queen, double aces. It was time to play. And Kevin, man, just held his own up there, held that line, really never faltered up there, and was able to pick up that big stage victory. At the end of stage number 2 there, folks, I do want to appreciate everybody for tuning in here at 10-4 Broadcasting, but I believe I do have Kevin Bullock on the radio here to talk about his stage number 2 victory. Hey, Kevin, this is Mike and Will up here in the 10-4 Broadcasting with you to copy.
Hey, man, I got you. How's it going?
Man, not as good as you there picking up the stage number 2 victory here. We were just mentioning you're not a playoff driver per se, but Got to give you a lot of confidence to get that stage win over those big guys behind you there, and kind of take us through that last stage there and your points, your point of view on tonight's race action so far.
Actually, I am a playoff driver. I put the wrong paint scheme in. For the last 2 weeks, I've tried to fix it. But no, I had to make some friends out here tonight. So, race is going pretty good.
Yeah, we saw the action there kind of pick up with about 3 or 4 laps to go there in the stage. Did you start feeling that as the laps were ticking on, knowing who was behind you? Did you know that big charge was going to come?
Now, I kind of figured Parker was going to make a move with at least a lap or 2 to go.
Yeah, we saw it there. They tried to hard charge up there with Ry Lewis and Parker Collins, and we usually calling out their names, Riley Hoots, Darren Staff, and everything like that. But I like how you're kind of throwing your name into the hat here tonight, running a really good race here at Daytona. How are you feeling here the rest of the go?
I feel pretty good, man. I've got a good team with Nick and them helping me out. So we're going to try to do what we can to work together and get us to the end. And, whoever's there last lap, we just go for it.
Yes, sir, indeed. We look forward to seeing what you have in store here the next stage or two. And before we let you go, we do want to give you the opportunity to be in a stage victor. Of shout out anybody that you might have had watching here, or any sponsors on that race car you want to shout out as well.
Yeah, man, I'd like to give a shout out to my sponsors, Focum and EPS, Electric Power System, company I work for. And I'd like to give a shout out to my mom. She watches these broadcasts, man, every time I'm in here. So give a shout out to her, too.
Yes, sir, of course. And a belated Happy Mother's Day to your mom out there watching. I'm sure she's proud that you got that stage victory, and look forward to seeing what you have here the rest of the night. Hopefully we speak to you in Victory Lane.
All right, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir. Man, Mike, that was Kevin Bullock there picking up the stage number 2 victory. And like I said, he's throwing his name into the hat of drivers, like you said, making his name known here tonight.
Definitely. We talked about, he said he's a playoff driver, just got the wrong paint scheme. Hopefully we can help him fix it for next race for sure. But, wow, he's trying to make a name and say, hey, Matthew, Riley, Parker, there's going to be a new face up there. That's going to be me.
Yeah, definitely. And in this time, right before we go green, we do want to give an opportunity for the rest of the chat to shout out your favorite drivers or who your race pick is here tonight, as it's a mixed bag of drivers here tonight, Mike. We're not really sure who's going to win tonight's race. We haven't seen somebody dominate the race. We saw Matthew Badby pick up stage number 1 victory, but we now see the 89s way back there. I'd say about 7th position there, so really fighting to get back up into the lead. So it's really a mixed bag of who's who here tonight. Who's going to win this race here at Daytona?
That is correct. And guess what? We're going to have possibly green flag pit stops. So it's going to be who can take the correct amount of fuel without taking too much.
Yeah, and it comes down to maybe whipping out that calculator to figure out what your best window is. How long can you go if you want to stay out longer than the rest of the field and make that fuel tank stretch a little bit more, or if you want to get that, the pit stop out of the way early and to make sure you're the last car out there while everybody else is pitting. So it's really trying to calculate that window there, Mike.
As we are getting ready to go green.
Yes, sir. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is the start of stage number 3 of playoff week number 2, and it's green, 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 green here at Daytona. You see Kevin Bullock's holding that inside lane there. You got Ry Lewis right behind him. Nick Shell in that number 8 right there as well. But you see Nick Alford is now our race leader here, heading down into the backstretch. You see Darren Staff in that 45 as well on the backstretch on the outside lane, trying to find a move. You see Nick Shell go to the inside to try to make a move around Nick Alford in that 22 as they're heading down into 3 and 4 here. Still Nick Alford in that 22 leading the way. Nick Shell is in that 2nd position. Now you see Kevin Bullock has now moved down into third. Those moves made by Nick Alford and Nick Schell. And down into the front stretch here, Mike. You see the 89 of Matthew Badby is now on the outside lane there, Mike, but not a lot of cars out there to help as he's going to have to file back into line. As you see, Riley Lewis is going to try to make a move to the outside and maybe help the outside lane form up. And he's got some help there on the outside lane there, but Mike, the longer you wait on the outside lane there, the more speed you're going to lose.
That is correct. That's actually the more momentum you're going to lose on top, because the outside line doesn't have the draft. Doesn't have the oof, so to say. He went up there to help his teammates, and who knows? The bottom line could check up just enough for the outside line to make a name.
Most definitely. As you see, they have faded way back there. It's almost reminiscent of what Riley Hoots and Matthew Badby went through on that last stage there, where they tried to get around the rest of those cars. As you just talked about, they didn't have the momentum to ride around the rest of those cars there. That tandem has now faded down into, looking at the grid there, you see Riley Lewis in 7th, you have Darren Staff in 9th, and then Parker Collins is in that 10th position right there. So really fading back on the track there. And that's not a good position to be there, Mike, in that second half of this lead pack, because that's where all the chaos ensues. As you see, they're going to head down on the front stretch here, going to cross the line at lap 67. Nick Alford is our race leader here on the track, and Nick Alford is the admin here in the High Octane Sim Series. He is the mastermind behind all this race action that you see here on the track. There's the High Octane Sim Series run, this Cup Series that we broadcast for you folks at home. They also do an Xfinity Series as well. I believe, Mike, that they are planning the stages for next season here in the High Octane Sim Series, and there is a rumor out there that they are going to go ahead and combine the Xfinity and Cup Series together. So what a field of drivers we're going to have next year in the High Octane Sim Series.
Wow, that's definitely going to be a bigger field for sure. We've seen, when we came on board, we've seen big names up front, different drivers, and then then it started to get smaller. I understand with the holiday, the All-Star race, definitely that race put on a good show. And also next season, they're also looking at the next-gen cars. So
yeah,
that is definitely a different animal coming from Gen 6, which we are seeing here tonight.
Yeah, Mike, and if we could, as we have this green flag action here, could we just rewind just a little bit to watch the 26 of Mattern there? I want to spot something out for the folks at home there. If we could rewind the action just a little bit. Oh, never mind. As we have contact behind teammates there, Riley Lewis. They do make contact on the track. No, there is the caution, folks. Oh man, I was looking at how much momentum that 26 lost there by getting caught in the danger zone lane there. But as I was mentioning that, we do have contact between teammates. Man, what a turn of events there for the Big Dog Racing stable.
And we will check exactly how that happened for you.
Man, Mike. Check it out here. I think we got to go back just a little bit more to see that contact made. I believe that was Parker Collins and Riley Lewis there.
Go back a little bit more.
There we go, right there. It was on the corner. You see Rise riding high side. It's all the teammates up there. Aaron Saff in that 45, Riley Lewis in the 20, Parker Collins in the 54. And you see Darren go back low. Rye just bounces off the wall there and makes contact with his teammate of Parker. Man.
Check that one more time. Get a different view of that.
Just running really high there for the 20. You see it here, folks.
Oh,
right
something
there.
happened with the 20. It's like he just drifted into the wall.
Yeah, Mike, and I was going to ask you, as an iRacer yourself, when you're running that high side and you're that close to the wall, man, that wall must just creep up on you really fast.
We'll go back and we'll look at one more camera because something did not seem right with that.
See right here. Oh,
I
and you see
wonder,
him.
you know, here's one thing that in my mind is I wonder if he's still on his original set of tires.
Yeah, and you saw that little bit of, I don't want to say it's an oversteer, but you saw it starting to creep into his mind like, oh man, I am really close to the wall here. Maybe if I just try to steer off the wall a little bit. But I think at that point it was already too late to try to steer that race car off that wall. And you saw the contact made there, Mike.
Yeah, you never really see that at a super speedway unless your tires, you know, wore out to where it blew out. In iRacing, we don't see those physics, but it just would feel like that's what actually happened.
And I saw it on a Thursday night, actually last night in a broadcast that we did for the Virtual Racing League there, or International Racing League there, excuse me, at Auto Club, where a lot of the drivers preferred to run that high side lane there. I like to call it the Dale Jr. line, because a lot of the races that I saw at Lowe's Motor Speedway, now Charlotte Motor Speedway for the folks at home, you know, Dale Jr. used to love to ride that high side lane there around that track, but it always made me super nervous, let my anxiety kick in, if you will, because you're so close to that wall. If you start to oversteer, you just touch the wheel just a little bit, you are going to bounce right off that outside wall.
It's more like the Kyle Larson line now.
Right.
But yeah, like at a super speedway, you would never see that happen. The only way you'd see it if you don't take tires and you burn your tires up. We've gone, we're 70 laps into the race. You know, I could probably see that he was trying to, you know, not take tires, or at least take one set of tires, at least get halfway. We are about 4 laps from halfway, and I believe that was the strategy that he was trying to do. You know, you take less fuel, or maybe enough fuel just to get you to the end of the stage, but you know, this was that was definitely different. You never see that at a super speedway unless a tire blows out.
Go ahead. I was going to say, Mike, it just seems like maybe he lost focus there. Maybe he didn't have his W energy before tonight's event.
That's right. That amazing energy fuel. That little energy blend, I should say. I wonder if he did have his energy, just didn't take a sip before the race.
Yeah, he needs to head over to w.gg, that's dubby.gg, and go ahead and use that coupon code HOSS at checkout for 20% off and get that all mixed in there, and maybe he'll keep his focus here around the track, because it just looked like maybe he just lost focus for just a split second and bounced off that outside wall there, but definitely needs to go grab some of that W to make sure he keeps focus here on the racetrack. As you were mentioning, Mike, we are creeping up on halfway here. You know, we don't like to put commentators' curse on any of the drivers here at 10-4 Broadcasting, but as we see a mixed bag of drivers up there, who are you thinking is going to be the strongest car here on the track that's going to be able to put their car in victory lane? As for me, I'm looking at maybe, you know, Alan Bledsoe on that 42. Mike has run really strong here the past couple weeks. Matthew Badby's up there in that 89. Again, Kevin Bullock hasn't really faltered at all out of that top 5 yet.
Well, I'm definitely not putting a curse on anybody here tonight, that's for sure.
You see what I did there? I picked a few different drivers just in case, as we're going to see that green flag wave once again here in playoff week number 2 in the High Octane Sim Series. And it's going to be Nick Offord leading the pack down into turn number 1.
No way, too early to put a curse on anyone. Just knowing me, I'll pick a couple of drivers and they'll be all in a wreck. No way.
It'll be all of them bunched up. As you see, Nick Offord's leading them down the backstretch right here. Alan Bledsoe is trying to get around him in that 42. We spoke during the start of this broadcast about the race, the 42 race last week, Mike, and I would have to personally say was the fastest car on the track, but just fuel mileage just crept up on him quick, fast, and in a hurry, and really cost him the race, if you will. Did a great job of climbing back through to finish in, I think it was either third or fourth position. We thought he was going to catch the field, but as we mentioned during that broadcast, the tires started to wear a little bit more, and he lost that speed that he was gaining. What a way to climb back up through the field after running out of gas. Had to be pushed down pit road, if I do remember. As you see, Nick Offords in that 22 was leading them down the backstretch here. You got Alan Bledsoe right behind him in that 42, Matthew Badby right there. James Brussucker's right up there as well. And James, I'm loving that paint scheme here tonight. I'm loving these paint schemes here tonight, Mike. And he's rocking that man in black, number 3. You know, I do remember when I got an opportunity to do the Richard Petty driving experience when I was a little kid. I think I was probably too young to get, driven around the Charlotte Motor Speedway there, as we're going to stick on James here, riding out of Mountain City, Tennessee there. I do remember, Mike, back in the day, I used to be a Jeff Gordon fan, and my uncle was a driver for the experience, and I was like, oh, I want to ride in the 24, I want to ride in the 24. I remember my uncle saying, like, nope, you're going to ride in this car. And, I was so little, I don't remember which car it was. It wasn't until I looked back and it was the number 3 car I get to ride around Charlotte Motor Speedway. So what an awesome opportunity, because I believe shortly after that, Dale unfortunately passed away and they retired that car in the driving experience. So what an awesome experience that was to have that picture and me being in that 3 machine. It's good to see that 3 machine back on the track here tonight.
Definitely, every time you come to super speedways and official races, you always see an Earnhardt scheme, no matter what it was. If it was the 3, you'll see sometimes a Wrangler scheme. That's the top schemes that drivers normally pick, because that's what's the first mind you come to see. Oh, Earnhardt. Goodwrench, you don't really see them anymore.
No, and actually last night in the International Racing League, we saw somebody bring out the number 3 Manila Wafer car. So it's been a minute since I've seen that car out on the track as well. If you haven't checked out the Funko Pop out there, for all you Funko Pop collectors, there's actually a Funko Pop that has Dale in the all blacked out number 3 machine actually in the car. So what an awesome Funko Pop that is out there. I think I saw it one time in Walmart. It was pretty beat up, so I didn't purchase it. I kind of regret not doing that now, Mike, because it was such an awesome piece to have. I think I have a pop on hold that's him in that Wrangler gear as well. So if you're a collector of Funko Pops out there, they do make NASCAR Funko Pops, so go check those out there. I believe they have a Jeff Gordon one that's in his race car as well. So, and all the new modern drivers, so go check those out. As we're watching James now in top 3. What a race so far out of him here tonight, Mike.
Yes, we see throwback Mike Skinner right in front of him. So we got RCR 2 and 3, so to say.
And you saw that outside lanes trying to stack back up there, and you saw them trying to battle up there, but you saw again, it's about 5 versus 4 up there on the top, as this is our newcomer Matter in there, is not having the race that they envisioned here tonight. It's about 2 laps down there off the pace. Might be time to retire that race car. As you see it down on the apron there, as you see the rest of the leaders are going to go ahead and put that race car down 3 laps now, as Nick Offords, our race leader, heading down into 3 and 4 here. He's got Alan Bledsoe on that 42 right behind him. James Brussucker right there in that 3. Kevin Bullock in that 01 machine. Riley Lewis is back up there as well after getting tangled up with his teammate. See Parker Collins in that 54 as well, working with them. But you see Riley Hoots and Darren Staff are outside there, just 1, 2. And then Kelly Thomas in that 51 going to about round out the top 10 there. You see Nick Shell right up outside that top 10. But you see this is the whole pack there, Mike. The only car that's off the pace of this pack is the number 5 car of Robert King. And of course, we saw him get tangled up there early. Was really running the strongest race so far out of that 5 machine to start this race off. But once that first event happened with that 5 getting loose and crashing out there, it's really not been the same race for that 5.
Definitely, heartbreak for the 5 car. He was hoping to come away with the victory here this evening. But, Daytona and Talladega, they're definitely, you can win them, you can lose them, you can love them, you can hate them.
Yeah, Mike, and I'm interested to see if we could ride along for the 20, the in-car camera view of the 20 of Ryan Lewis there. I want to see the kind of speeds they're hitting on that outside lane there. We could just ride along board there, throw up that speedometer on the side. There we go. And give the folks at home this in-car camera view brought to you by 10-4 Broadcasting. Really want to see, as you saw him peak at 200 there. Now they're riding on the outside lane there, not really losing too much speed. So I'm hit about 198 there, heading down the front stretch here, see if he gains any momentum there in the lead car on that pack. You see him creeping up just a little bit on exit there, Mike. Now, Mike, I was going to ask you, as we're riding along board Ry Lewis here, the first car on that outside lane there, he's got his teammates behind him. What's going through your mind as a driver there, knowing you have a huge pack behind you, but you're trying to get around these 4 cars on the inside, and you know the only way you're going to be... Oh, big run as I'm talking about that there, Mike. He's going to overtake about 4 cars there, head down into the corner. Are you just relying on your teammate behind you to push you the right way and just hope that you can get past these cars here? And the flip side, I also wanted to ask you, too, if you start seeing these cars on the inside start going by you there, do you start losing that confidence at all?
No, not really. I mean, we look in the rearview mirror, you know, he's getting the push, but the inside line, you know, it's just about timing and getting to that bumper for that split second. You know, you may or may not, you know, you see the 54 getting as close to the 20. You got to time that push correctly in order for it to be a successful push. Oh, as we see
no!
Behind him.
Oh, no! Man, as we were just talking about pushing and banging, it looks like a lot of the big names here in the High Octane Sim Series were just, oh man, tangled up in some crazy, chaotic mess. Oh man, and that was about the half of the top 5 we just saw get tangled up in that, Mike. Wow, we'll have to rev up that 10-4 broadcasting replay for you to see what happened there. That's the who's who of the High Octane Sim Series was just caught up in that.
Yeah, we just talked about, you know, getting on that bumper, timing it correctly, and
man,
wow.
That's just from looking at it on my screen here. It's Riley Hoots, Parker Collins. That's Matthew Badby. See the 24 right there. Get right on that back bumper. And you start. Oh man, there it is. You start.
Rear. Let's check one more time. We're gonna go on board with the 24 Riley Hoots.
You start seeing him get a little squirrely there. Maybe just too much momentum on the outside lane. We'll have to rev that back just a little bit there. There we go, right there. Oh man.
We seen it. It's like he got to a bumper where you don't want to get to.
Right there. Right there.
Yep.
Clips that right side quarter panel. Oh, man. What a crazy turn of events here, folks. Man, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Mike, I believe the 89 has already used their fast repair.
That, unfortunately, I don't have that information available.
We'll see it here as they make their pit stops to see which drivers used that fast repair. I know the 45 may have already used it because, you know, he was caught up in some craziness. You see that 24 has used the fast repair. There we go. Back on the track nice and clean. And you see the 89 still down pit road here. 89 went ahead and used that fast repair as well. You see the 54 of Parker Collins there went ahead and used that as well.
It looks like Parker Collins has already used it or has not. He looks like he still has damage on his car.
Yeah. You see how much if that plays a factor here down the stretch with about looking at about 70 laps to go. A little under that. Man, Mike, this race is crazy here in week number 2 of the High Octane Sim Series. You see the 45 of Darren Staff right there. Trying to see if there's any damage on that machine. All I'm seeing is some awesome paint schemes on there. That 10-4 broadcast and logo all over the hood and the nice quarter panels and the back fender there. And just take a second here to examine to see if there's any damage on this race car. But also checking out that sweet new paint scheme there, Darren Staff. And Mike, I'm not seeing any damage there on there, so he must have saved that quick repair for that incident right there. No damage at all on that race car there, Mike, so must have saved it knowing that something like this would occur here on the racetrack. We just got word there that the Robert King in that 5 car does have damage, so probably the reason why they were falling off the pace just a little bit there when it lapped down, but now it's going to be at the tail end of that lead pack. About 12th position to start things off here, Mike, and man, but you do see a familiar face now at the top of that grid there, Mike, in the 42 of Alan Bledsoe. Do you think this week will be the week we see that 42 breakthrough?
Oh, man. I think I nicknamed the 42 as the Red Dragon of the league, so maybe. But I believe the 22 up front and the 01 want to make a change and make that W happen for either one of those two drivers. But, the 42 definitely looking for a win here, for sure. I'm not going to jinx it. Doesn't have a win yet, but I don't want to say it.
Not yet, at least, right? You kind of want to play your cards close to the chest to use another poker reference there. But here we go, folks. That pace car lights are off. It's going to go ahead and head down pit road. We're going to start this race off once again here in playoff week number 2 of the High Octane Sim Series here live from Daytona. Green, green, green once again. And you see Nick Alfred's all by himself there on the outside lane there. You see Brian Lewis is trying to get around Alan Bledsoe there on turn number 1. You see Nick's going to have some help right behind him with Kevin Bullock. Which you see another cool name up there as well as Kelly. Oh man, got really squirrely there on the backstretch, Mike. Oh no!
I knew it.
Oh my gosh, the leaders just crashed there on the entry of 3. Oh no. Man, I was just about to say what a race for Kelly Thomas there, but before my brain could get it out of my mouth, we just saw the leaders crash out there. Oh my goodness.
This is our 5th caution of the race, including those 2 stage breaks. And we're revving up our caution replay to see what caused and what exactly happened there.
My goodness. Wow. If you were a betting man out there and you had some money on those drivers up at the front, you were throwing your remote at the TV right now because, man, that looks like the end of the day for a lot of those big names up there at the front.
Looks like the outside line got loose, yeah. 22
oh, no.
got loose and came down into
Oh, no.
22.
Man, and you saw him really squirrely on that backstretch there. It made me nervous, made me a little sweaty, and I'm not even racing in this race.
Oh, no.
And going on to the entry of 3. Oh, gosh.
89. He already used his fast repair. So it looks like his day will be done.
Man.
And we'll look at that one more time.
Crazy. Yeah, rev that up again, Mike. And you see that 20. Actually, go back. If we could go back up to that lead pack there, and you see the 22 up at the front. comes down. I don't know, maybe just gets bumped or gets loose in that 22. Yeah, just gets loose.
Yeah, he gets sideways.
And really avoided the rest of the mess. It's going to come out of that wreck squeaky clean compared to the rest of the field. And you saw, if we could, actually, Mike, we're going to treat the folks at home to something special here. If we could take an onboard ride with Alan Bledsoe on that 42, for those folks at home that might have a motion sickness there. Oh man.
This is onboard with the 22. We just see it. He gets very loose on entry.
Oh my goodness there. And you see that 42 go up flying on top of race cars there. It's going to make a hard impact on the wall. It's going to go up flying over the top of the hood of some cars. Man. And then you see Matthew Badby is going to get collected by the rest of the cars checking up behind him. Oh man.
There we go. Watch his hands. Yeah, he got sideways.
Man.
And this is what we talk about, the back end of the car. These drivers, when they pitted, they probably could have not taken gas. And the weight of the back end is definitely playing a factor here this evening.
And you see Nick Offridge just going to go ahead and mosey right down pit road. Because he's going to have some damage on that race car. But man, that was the who's who of the high octane sim series that was caught up in that disastrous crash there, Mike.
And looks like the 42 is off the track. I believe the 48 is out of the race.
Oh my goodness.
54 extended pit lane. 89
is stumbling down pit road. Oh my goodness, Mike.
And this is why I don't want to make a pick, but again.
No, and I was kind of tiptoeing around it, thinking, well, maybe if they could, I wasn't picking race winners per se, but as you see, Mike, you just mentioned, Alan Bledsoe in that 42 is going to be forced to retire. You see Matthew Wilson in that 48 is going to be forced to retire. You see the 54 of Parker Collins, last week's winner, is going to have to retire as well. So you matter in a newcomer who just got caught up in that again. It's 2 laps down there. Matthew Badby still down pit road. It's going to be a few laps down here once we go green. So, man, a lot of big names caught up in that, but we do see the lights off of that pace car. We're back to go green flag racing here once again, and that was our 7th caution of the night here, Mike. We're going to have about 60 laps to go, and it's really going to be anybody's race here now, Mike.
This is turning into the race of who's going to be survive to the end of the race.
And how does that Destiny's Child song go? I am a survivor. I'm going to make it. Na, 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 na. That is an old song there, Mike, for those throwback jams there. But definitely, as you mentioned, it's going to be the survival of the fittest here. And we'll see if the tribe has spoken here in the High Octane Sim Series as we're going to go green, green, green once again here in playoff week number 2. As you see, they're heading down into 1 here. You got Kevin Bullock there in the 01, has avoided all the craziness here, is back up in that lead position. You got Nick Schell right behind him. You got Ryan Lewis up there with Riley Hoots, who has actually avoided most of the craziness here, but again has used their fast repair on the racetrack. So next big accident for that 24, they're going to be out of the race here. See a big move to go to that middle lane, got really loose there on the entry of 3. Going to force Ryan Lewis to go down below the double yellow. What a great job from the drivers to avoid the 24 getting loose there, Mike.
We're coming down to the wire here, and these drivers are trying to get every little bit they can.
Mike, my hat is off to that 01 of Kevin Bullock. Not intimidated at all. It's not, he said, it's my time to shine. It's the Cal Naughton here of the High Octane Sim Series. He's tired of Ricky Bobby winning everything. He said, I want to win some races. I want to do my thing here on the racetrack. We've seen it out of that 01 machine here tonight. Really has never really faltered out of the top 5. picked up the stage number 2 victory. I think really ran strong in stage number 1 as well, and is now back out to the race lead here.
Yes, he's definitely playing the sleeper card, so to say.
Got some help right behind him in Nick Schell, and we're looking at a range of playoff drivers here that we don't usually call out here at 10-4 Broadcasting. It's not because we don't want to per se. Maybe these drivers are just overshadowed by the rest of the drivers here in the High Octane Sim Series, but we're looking at Kevin Bullock leading the way here on lap 92. You get Nick Schell in that 8 machine right behind him. You see Kelly Thomas, and unfortunately there's that 42 of Alan Bledsoe, who is going to be forced to go 2 laps down now as you see him go to the high side of the racetrack to let that lead pack go by. Hopefully nobody gets tangled up with that 42 there. But Mike, as I was going to mention there before we saw that big accident there, Kelly Thomas is running a really strong race here tonight as well. We've seen Kelly in that 51 there. He's done a great job to avoid all the craziness in the middle of the pack, the tail end of the pack. Has been that car that's been sneaking by a lot of these accidents. But is now, because of that awesome iRacing experience and that awesome driving there behind the wheel, has put himself in position for the race lead here in that 3rd position. And also, my hat's off to Nick Alford as well here tonight, Mike. You haven't seen that 22 fade out of the top 5 at all here tonight.
Yes, as we see the 45 trying to make a move. And I believe the 42 did use his fast repair, but then ended up stepping away, I guess, to take care of something behind the scenes, and didn't expect to have that fast repair. But 2 laps down, he could still be a force to reckon with, and a game changer here in the end of stages of the race.
Yeah, Mike, but he's going to have to get some work going on here. It's going to have to come down to the wire because we got less than 60 laps to go here, folks. We're getting down to crunch time here in playoff week number 2, and if we have a different winner here in week number 2 of the playoffs, man, that race next week at the Charlotte Roval is going to be one race to tune into, because we really have no idea who the road course ringer is here in the High Octane Sim Series. So be on the lookout for that race, because I remember the last road course race that we broadcast here for 10-4 Broadcasting the High Octane Sim Series. Thought we knew who was going to be the road course guy there, but from what I remember was Matthew Badby led a lot of that race. Parker Collins came up, overtook that, and then won the race there, from what I'm remembering there, Mike.
I believe so, yes.
But that Roval race is a whole different beast than the road course at Daytona that we raced here during the regular season, the High Octane Sim Series. So with a second different winner here in the playoffs, that's going to make that race worth a lot. As we're seeing here, Kevin Bullock's going to lead them down into the corner, still leading the way here in playoff week number 2. You got Nick Schell in that 8 machine right behind him. Nick Alford, who is the admin here in the High Octane Sim Series, said, I want to put my 22 machine into victory lane here. Like I said, made the most out of the playoff races that the regular season races he was able to run here in the series, with everything he's got going on, not only being the admin here in the series, but also a lot of behind the scenes work at his job. He's trying to make himself known here as one of the strongest drivers here in the High Octane Sim Series. Mike, I think he only ran 4 or 5 races during the regular season, but had 3 top 5s and 2 top 10s in the races he ran, so really made the most out of his regular season.
Definitely, he'd made a force to reckon with. You might be cold, so to say, the beginning of the season, but if you can make a difference and turn it around, you can definitely be hot towards the end, and that's something that other drivers do not want to see.
And as you see, the field is going to go ahead and go around Parker Collins. Last week's winner in that 54 machine is not going to be his night here tonight, Mike, as he's going to go down about, I believe from the grid, 8 laps down there. So
that would be 9 laps at this moment.
Yeah, 9 laps down there. Definitely not going to be his night here tonight for that 54 machine, but I'm sure he'll have something to say next week at the Roval at Charlotte. So it looks like all the Big Dog Racing stable is not in the mix here, Mike.
I believe a lot of them were damaged in the race. As we see the 45 and the 51. I believe the 51 does have damage. And I think they were trying to work together just a tad bit too much. Oh, the 45 has damage in the back end there.
Yeah, because from what I remember, that 45, if you do remember, he was caught up in an incident on the backstretch there, went for a slide job through that grass, and I think used his fast repair in that instance. So, and he was damaged in that last accident we saw on the track. So definitely not going to be able to hold the pace here with these undamaged cars here we see up at the front. But as we see Kevin Bullock, Nick Schell, and Nick Offord. Also, Riley Hoots is trying to make up for what happened last week, Mike, with that unfortunate contact on pit road that cost him, I would say, about 2 laps. That incidental contact with Parker Collins heading down pit road.
This is definitely going to be a game changer, being 4 drivers, and then Bledsoe you got back there, full speed, but it's going to be a matter of like when you're going to make the move, and is Bledsoe going to go with you, or is he going to stay and just ride?
Yeah, Mike, with 50 laps to go here, ladies and gentlemen, the High Octane Sim Series Playoff Week number 2 here live from Daytona. I believe it is snack time, Mike, and I believe the best place to get a snack from right now, if you have time, if you are close to them to run down there and get it, is to go check out Captain Jack's Smokehouse. Now, Captain Jack's Smokehouse is providing all the best barbecue that you can handle. As if you were watching here on this broadcast, take a look at your screen right now. Oh man, I wish we had smell-o-vision and taste-o-vision here in 10-4 broadcasting, because you see those awesome ribs, smoked sausage, pulled pork, looks like some chicken on there as well, the mashed potatoes, you got the baked beans, all of the accoutrement that you can ask for from your big barbecue plate there. I tell you what, Mike, I can't get barbecue like that down here in Florida, and I think Riley Hoots down here in Florida as well can attest to that as well. And I do want to advise all those over 21 people out there that are going to wash it down with a nice ice cold beer to please drink responsibly there. But definitely go check out Captain Jack's on Facebook and go give them a Google if you're close enough to do DoorDash, or go pick them up. Go do so right now, as we're going to have about 49 laps to go here in week number 2 of the High Octane Sim Series playoffs. And man, what a race it has been, Mike. We've seen, to use another poker reference here, we got quite the scheme going on here, Mike, tonight. We've seen a shuffle of the deck, if you will. You've seen the who's who of the High Octane Sim Series racing up there in the lead pack. They've battled it out. We've seen incidences happen. We saw Rye Lewis go up on the wall. We saw Darren Staff get taken out. And then just our last caution there, Mike, we saw a battle for the lead ensuing between Alan Bledsoe. Got clipped on the back corner panel there, and that took out the rest of the drivers behind him. So now we have a fresh slate of drivers rocking for the lead up here. But we have a few names that have not faltered here in tonight's event. And that is Kevin Bullock in that 01 machine, Nick Offord in that 22. We saw Riley Hoots get caught up, but has done a great job to get their race car back into contention. And that last car on this pack here, that is Alan Bledsoe. But Alan Bledsoe is 2 laps down here, folks. So it's really just a 4-car race here that you're taking a look at for the battle for the lead.
Yes, the drivers hopefully looking for a caution to punch us back up, and who knows, it might have a different winner. I'm not going to put the curse on them, but I think my pick, I think was the 01, but I just didn't want to say something, because what's going to happen? Something bad's going to happen.
Yeah, Mike, it almost makes me think about last night's race that we broadcasted out of the International Racing League. We saw Hernandez in the 19 really spoke about how his car was on rails the entire night, really had a lot of confidence in that machine, really felt like that track at Auto Club was his race to win. And I almost feel like that we are seeing the same confidence out of that 01 machine here tonight. It's really sticking to the lines, racing the best race they can. has really never faltered at all here, Mike. And we spoke to him after that stage victory. And I could almost hear the confidence in his voice in that interview that this race really could be his if he really put the pedal to the metal. And we do have a caution. You spoke it into existence there, Mike. We have our 8th caution here on the racetrack. We'll have to see what exactly occurred here on the racetrack. We'll go ahead and get that 10-4 broadcasting replay revved up for you to see what occurred. And Mike, you spoke it into existence. You brought out that phantom caution that NASCAR liked to throw a bit in the past.
I don't think it's a phantom caution, so to say. I think it's, as we were looking at those food items and the lovely food from Captain Jack's, I went to go look and see what chat was looking at, and wow, I think this is not the way you want to see a caution happen, but...
Take a look here. Oh. Oh no! Oh no! Oh. And that 26 is a newcomer here in the High Octane Sim Series. Hasn't been raced in the race I don't think they envisioned here tonight. But you saw Riley Hoots get around the 26, and then I'm not sure what the 26 was thinking there, Mike. To try to throw a block there? I don't know.
I think he tried to come back into the racing line and try to keep that momentum. He might have gotten bumped. See if we can go back just a tad bit more to see what exactly happened here.
And you see the 20 go to the outside. They have the momentum to get around the 26.
26 looks like got loose. And then try to get back in line and had that bump and nowhere to go.
Not the race I don't think that they were trying to race here in their debut, but as we've seen out of Robert King, another newcomer here in the High Octane Sim Series, Mike, it does take a few weeks to start getting the wheels going here in this series. Because this isn't a series I would advise for all you newcomers out here. It is not the series that you can just jump right in and think you're going to have success. These drivers here in the High Octane Sim Series, I would have to say, Mike, are some of the best drivers that we call here in 10-4 broadcasting, just based on the consistency and based on the racing that we see week in and week out here in the High Octane Sim Series. These drivers really give it their all and put in the work week by week here.
Yes, this league, if you guys are looking for, a good, fun, great atmosphere league, come check out, the HOSS Cup Series, Xfinity Series. There's definitely a great bunch of guys here for sure. I mean, yeah, they have fun by listening to the drivers meeting this afternoon. Definitely they have a lot of fun, a lot of chemistry out. A lot of chemistry out with everybody. They make it fun for everybody. So, if you're looking for a good league on Friday nights, come check them out.
It looks like that 26 was a teammate of Robert King in that 5 car. And, Robert's raced a really good race here tonight. Gonna head down pit road here, but... is going to get back on the track here, Mike. But we saw him up there in the top 5 position before that incident happened, and I guess has not really had the opportunity to recover, per se, from that first accident. But you see that 45 of Darren Saff up there. Looks like he's been in a demolition derby, if you will. That back bumper all caved in, but still up there in the race lead.
Most definitely. It's we're coming down to the wire, last minute... who you going to run with? Who's got the speed? We'll see.
Indeed, Mike, as we're creeping up to the closing stages here, ladies and gentlemen, we have 43 laps to go. So if you want to run to the fridge, you want to throw that popcorn in the microwave, you want to get them snacks ready, them drinks ready, go ahead and do so as we're about to go green flag racing here once again. You see the Caution flag is still out here as they're heading down into 3 and 4.
Going to be getting ready to go green, as you'll see at the green flag in every restart. Not just the green flag go, but you'll see those lights and the spotting in the starter stand turn green, which means the drivers that are
Here we go.
There we go.
There we go. That's an awesome view there, Mike. I've never seen that happen before. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to go green, green, green once again here in the High Octane Sim Series. So that over one of Kevin Bullock. It's going to lead them down into 1 and 2 here. See Riley Hoots in that 24 is going to follow down onto the backstretch. Darren Seff, as I mentioned, looks like he's been in a demolition derby with that back all caved in, but really trying to give it his all here, rocking that 10-4 broadcasting paint scheme here tonight. We do have those files made up for anybody, so any of the drivers or anybody that's here listening to us here on the broadcast, if you'd like to rock our decal on your race car, we would greatly appreciate it. We do have those files ready for you drivers out there, but we see that Kevin Bullock is leading the way down the backstretch here. Or around the front stretch, excuse me, as you see Riley Hoots in that 24 is right on that back bumper. You're going to cross the line at lap 109 here in week number 2 of the High Octane Sim Series playoffs. And Mike, as we're seeing these laps start to count down here, we're going to have about 40 laps to go. What do you see starting to play out here in these closing stages here? Are you going to start seeing them tandems starting to build back up, or is it really time to try to get your car into the clean air?
Well, I mean, one thing that you definitely will see is everybody's all bunched up. So instead of being a 4-way battle for the win, this has now turned into an 8-way battle for the win. And also remember, you got Bledsoe up there, you know. Yeah, he's 2 laps down, but he also has no damages. He used his fast repair.
Right, and I think that's going to play a big factor here in these late stages because we are destined for another big accident here, as we always see at Daytona. Keep an eye out for that as well here in these closing stages. And Mike, as I'm going to ask you as an iRacer yourself, what position do you want to be in here? Do you want to be kind of in the middle of this lead pack? Do you want to be in the lead like Kevin Bullock in that 01? Or do you want to be at the tail end of here just so that if something does happen in front of you, you're in a awesome position to win this race?
So I'm looking around, even from a driver perspective. You know, I'm looking or talking to my spotter. You know, who's got damage? How much damage do they have? And if I were to go and try to get around, will they go with me? That's one thing. You know, is the mindset going for this coming down to the wire here. It
really is.
We hear TJ Majors, you know, Dale Jr.'s crew spotter, and Haley Deegan's spotter, to be exact, you know, always looking around who's got damage, where their damage is. Can they still hang in a draft? Can they push? Or can they pull?
Right, Mike, and for the drivers that have had an unfortunate season, it's definitely Haley Deegan in that truck. Just can't find the right opportunity there. It almost seems like every race she gets taken out of some kind of craziness there. I know last week it was she was running high side and got pinched up on the outside wall there. So, and then I think one week her wheel caught on fire. So definitely she has the skill, you know, in my opinion, but just hasn't had the luck, if you will, in that truck just yet. Same thing can be said about another female driver in Tony Bredinger there in the ARCA series. Really has the skill to race that race car around, but just gets caught up in these crazy accidents that we see. And the same can be said about these drivers here tonight, Mike. You know, a lot of the big names have the skill to win this race, but as Daytona always does to these drivers, whether it's in the iRacing simulator or in real life, you could be the strongest car on the track, but you can get caught up in some craziness. As we're watching, Kevin Bullock is now in the race lead. Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. For sure, But here we go. We're coming down to the wire in this race. As we see Darren at 45 making a move for second place.
And Darren has really raced like he's in a demolition derby here tonight, folks. And not because he's taking cars out, but he's just been in the middle of all that craziness and chaos I was just speaking about. But as Mike alluded to, he hasn't used that fast repair, and it's really played a big advantage for him there, Mike, because he didn't lose any speed on the track and hasn't really lost any position. Hasn't faded out of this lead pack here at all here tonight, even with a car going up on the top of his roof, even doing a little Tokyo drifting down the backstretch grass there. He's still up there battling for the lead in that 10-4 broadcasting car. And I know there was a joke reading the chat before this race started here tonight that rocking that 10-4 broadcasting paint scheme here tonight would get him extra screen time, Mike, but I wouldn't say it's the paint scheme that's got him extra airtime. I would say it's the driving skill out of that 45 here tonight that's really got him the most airtime here. As you see, as I just mentioned, he's got caught up in a few accidents. You see a lot of damage on that back bumper there, but yet he's still in that second position.
Yeah, he's definitely played it smart here this evening to not only get that extra screen time, but who knows, he can take home the victory here tonight.
Yeah, and really it's the only big dog racing car that's in the mix here. We saw a lot of those drivers get caught up in the incident just a few laps ago here we're on about lap 115 here, folks. So coming down here to the closing stages of this race. But I'd say the biggest surprise and to us here in the 10-4 broadcasting booth, even with all the accidents and all the chaos that we've seen so far in this race here tonight, has been Kevin Bullock in that 0-1. Like, who would have thought coming into this race here at Daytona, we would see him practically dominate this race here tonight and have his car stuck on a rail on that bottom line.
He's definitely making a name for himself in this Cup Series. We talked to him a couple weeks ago when he won the first stage. He's like not looking forward to getting I'm gonna say looking forward to getting a win, but then he's like, if I get a win, I'm gonna have more of a target on my back. So he's just playing his cards right, and little by little trying to get there to the front.
I'd say, to use another poker reference there, Mike, we got a theme going on here tonight at 10-4 Broadcasting. He's like the poker player you see in a poker tournament that wins a couple big hands in the early stages of the tournament and just sits there with that fat stack of chips there and just keeps paying the antes, keeps paying the blinds, kind of just cruising through the tournament. And they're the chip leader throughout, but they're not making any kind of stupid moves. They're not making any big bets. They're just keeping it cool with their chips to the side, kind of cruising their way to the final table. And you're seeing it tonight out of Kevin Bullock there. He came out and won stage number 2 there, racked up his chips, knows that he's the best car on the track. Spoke to him in that interview. You could hear the confidence in that 0-1 machine here tonight. Had a lot of confidence in the way his car was running around this track here tonight. And who knows, Mike, he might be the one taking home that golden bracelet.
But you know what? You have any of these drivers that come home with a win, guess what? You're having a momentum going into the road course.
Yeah, Mike, and the way this race is played out, that road course is going to play a pivotal role in determining the champion here in the High Octane Sim Series, because after that, we go back to these speedways here, but who knows what could happen after tonight's proceedings with the way everything is shaken up. You're seeing a lot of those big names, Parker Collins and Matthew Badby, they're 1-2 in the points from the way they finished in week 1. I know Matthew Badby came into these playoffs here with 10 extra bonus points. After tonight's proceedings, who knows how this point standing is going to shake out? As you see, they're riding up on Matthew Badby right now. He is out of contention in tonight's race, and that is a strange sight to see, Mike. And it is not the Twilight Zone here on 10-4 broadcast. We usually see either it's Darren Staff, Parker Collins, or Matthew Badby. But no such thing here tonight, folks. As you see, Darren Staff is racing that second position, but it is Kevin Bullock who's leading the way. Nick Schell is in third place. Nick Offord is in fourth. Kelly Thomas is in fifth. And that's going to be your top 5 right there. You see James Brussucker up there as well in that 3 machine. Riley Hoots is in 7th. Riley Lewis is in 8th. Robert King is in the 9th position. And then, of course, those cars that were caught up in that accident just a few laps ago with Alan Bledsoe in that 42 in 10th. You see the new driver of Mattern in 11th. Matthew Badby is in 12th. And Parker Collins is in 13th. And, of course, Matthew Wilson has retired tonight. Going to go ahead and pack up that trailer and head to the home of racing up there in Charlotte. Sweet. And the Florida Panthers just took a 3-2 lead with 5 minutes to go in the third period, so I'm excited that the Panthers might win their first playoff series in about 30 years. So that is awesome there, as we're back to the action here at the High Octane Sim Series. As Kevin Bullock is still leading the way there, Mike. And as we're counting down the laps here, we're going to have looking at about 28 laps to go here. When do you start making that move here? When do you start forming up those outside lanes there as they're creeping up on Robert King there? As he's going to see him slide to the outside.
Oh!
No way! Oh my gosh, Mike.
No. That was... Oh, no.
No, man. Wow.
And you folks, you've seen that live.
I don't really have much to say about that, Mike.
I don't even know what to say.
I can't really put that into words there. I mean, I don't know what the 5 car was thinking there. You saw him go to the outside to get out of the way, and then for some reason you saw him come back down on top of the 01 as he was going by.
Go on board, yeah. He came back down in front of the leaders.
Wow.
I don't even know what do I don't know what to say. Just wow.
I guess if we could take another look at it from outside of the cockpit there and see what I don't even know what to say there. I am unfortunately speechless up here in the booth, Mike.
I am definitely am as well.
Wow.
I mean, you want to get your car in Victor Lane, but wow, it's...
And Robert King was about 2 laps down there. Gosh,
fast repair.
We try to stay biased up here in the booth, Mike, and I'm not an iRacer myself, and I don't have the same point of view as you racers out there. But for somebody who's a race fan that was really enjoying this race here tonight, I just don't know what to say about that. That was just because you saw the rest of the cars here in tonight's proceedings. Even though they were a lap down, they would fade to the outside. They let the rest of the cars go. Yeah, I'm not sure, as we're seeing Robert King in the chat type of message, but I'm not sure what that means there. But I mean, it's kind of too late now. You just really reshape the rest of this race here. That was the leaders going by there, so I don't really know. I don't know, Mike. We're supposed to stay biased up here in the booth. You know, we're supposed to report what we see, but I don't know. What's your thoughts on that?
I don't know. He said, as Robert has posted in chat, says, as I stated in chat, my relative didn't pick them up. I'm sitting the rest of the race out. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, Mike. Yeah.
I'm speechless as well. It's like scratching my head. Like, what do I say?
I just don't know, and luckily, you know, Kevin Bullock had a fast repair there. You know, is gonna fix his car, but that really just saying he lost focus there on the racetrack. It's kind of hard for me up in the booth to agree with that, Mike, as you saw Robert King get out of the way there and then come back down. So he knew that the leaders were going by and then decided to come back down on the leaders there. So I'm not sure.
For when it happens, you know, it takes a lot of guts for a driver to own up to something like that. And you know, he did say, you know, he lost focus, and he definitely owned up to it. So I give him full props to saying, you know, it was all on him. And you know, a lot of people just in a lot of official races, you would never hear that. You would never hear something taking full blame. But you know, well, definitely changes the outcome of this race, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Mike. You know, hats off to him for taking full responsibility, but something like that should never happen in a race like this, especially being, you know, I can understand if you're a lap down, you want to stay on the lead lap, but being multiple laps down and making that kind of move back down on the leaders, and knowing you have the leaders right there and you get out of the way and then you come back down on the leaders. So we are back green flag racing here as Nick Shell is going to take that green flag down into 1 and 2 here. We have a new race leader here on the track. Nick Shell in that 8 car is going to lead them down into 1. Nick Offord in that 22 is right behind him. You see James Brussicker right there in that 3 car. You see that 26 who is multiple laps down as well is racing up there as well. Hope that 26 stays out of the way of these leaders. As you see Nick Offord's up there. See Kelly Thomas is going to get pushed down below the double yellow there. Ryan Lewis is going to have to fade out. You see Nick Shell is now our race leader there. James Brussicker is in 3rd. Kelly Thomas in the 51s in 4th. Riley Hoots up there in 5th. See our former race leader Kevin Bullock is down to 6th position now. You see that 6-car tandem is now stacking up there to try to carry this race here with less than 24 laps to go. Excuse me. You see Nick Shell in that 8 machine with Nick Offord right there as well. And you see Nick Shell now leading the way down around 3 and 4 here, back down onto the front stretch. See Nick Offord right there as well. Nick Offord's trying to get his first win of the season here, ladies and gentlemen. As they're keeping an eye out on that other lapped car, we see Riley Lewis now battling with Alan Bledsoe back there as well. Some of these cars are multiple laps down. Riley Lewis is the last car on the lead lap that we see in this pack. As you see Darren Staff in that 45. He's in 7th position. See if any of these cars have anything for the leaders here, as they're saying single file down the backstretch.
Remember, folks, Alan Bledsoe, he did use his fast repair when he had his incident, and He can be a game changer in this race.
As they're going to cross the line here with 22 laps to go here. We'll take a look at that 22. See if we can ride on board the cockpit of Nick Offord here. He is the admin here at the High Octane Sim Series. As you see, Nick's, hats off to Nick there, Mike. Nick has ran a pretty strong race here too, nonetheless. I mean, he has really raced probably the best race of his season so far. He's trying to put that 22 machine into victory lane here as we're riding on board here. These onboard cameras are brought to you by 10-4 Broadcasting. And Nick Offord is the admin here at the High Octane Sim Series. He's the mastermind behind all of this awesome action here. He is a veteran as well, so we do want to thank him for his service to our country. But taking a look at him here to see if he can get around the number 8 of Nick Shell.
Nick's going to definitely need help if he's going to want to pass the 8 of Nick Shell. We see that 3 car right back there. Almost a full car length back. If the 22 were to back up, the 22 and the 3 can possibly pass at 8.
Yeah, Mike, would that be your move to go ahead and to let off just a little bit, to let that 3 of James Brossecker up there to push you around the 8, or do you still want to keep your front fender locked on the back bumper of that 8?
20 laps to go, I would still, second place, I would just ride, because if I try to go for the lead, you don't know. The 3 might go with you, but then everybody inside might stay there.
You see Nick Shell up there is going to lead them down into 3 and 4 here, ladies and gentlemen. As you see the 22, Nick Offord's right there as well. James Brossecker is just a few ticks off the pace there in the 3rd position. You see a big move out of Kelly Thomas there. Kelly Thomas trying to put his car into victory lane here. And I believe, Mike, if these top 4 drivers stay the course here, none of these 4 drivers have won yet on the season. So each one of these 4 drivers will be a first-time winner here in this season.
Getting your win, your first win, of the season, of your career, at Daytona in a league format is, knowing you race these guys every week in and week out, okay, you can make that check mark off. I won at Daytona, Friday night HOSS Cup Series, but guess what? There's always next week. There's a Roval. You got to make that next check mark and be a statement in that championship battle.
Yeah, you really put your name in a hat for the championship battle here. Less than 18 laps to go here, folks. As you see, Nick Shell still leading them down the front stretch here. They are still single file heading down that backstretch. It is time to start making those many moves. Shout out to Cardi B there, because you really want to get your car in that race win position. If this stays the course here, folks, we're going to have quite the shootout here. As you see, Nick Offord's thinking about trying to make that move. A big run on the exit of 4 there, but so did Nick Shell in that 8. Really closed that gap back up there. As you see the 22 of Nick Offord right there as well. But you start seeing those 2 cars starting to pull away just a little bit from James Brossecker in that 3. With 17 laps to go here, folks, it is crunch time in playoff week number 2 here in the High Octane Sim Series. This has been quite the race so far, to say the least here, Mike. We had a controversial caution, to say the least, I guess. Just a few laps to go. We saw our race leader, Kevin Bullock, get tied up in, I guess, a loss of focus there at a Robert King there. I guess Robert didn't have his W energy here tonight. And he needs to get that W energy in his system to make sure he doesn't lose focus, and he's, no jitteriness there on the wheel. As you see, there's still single file here as they're creeping up on Matthew Badby once again here, and Matthew Badby is going to go another couple laps down. And that's unfortunate for that 89 machine. We usually see the 89 in victory lane. He is our regular season champion here in the High Octane Sim Series, but no race victory here tonight for that 89. And no race win currently right now, Mike, for any of the racers out of the Big Dog Racing team either.
Yeah, it's still not over yet. I mean, you still got the 45, the 20, that could possibly come up and spoil that fun. We see the 42 out there, looking. He's like, hey, I'm here. I'll help anybody.
As you see that 42 of Alan Bledsoe, no! And there's contact on the outside wall of the 89 of Matthew Badby, but he's going to stay his course there on the outside lane there, knowing that he's a few laps down there. He's going to keep it clean. It looks like Riley Hoots is going to use that lap car, but get out to the lead. He's going to go ahead and pass Nick Schell there.
Definitely use that car as a pick.
Going to use that pick to get around Nick Schell there. What an awesome move to use that 42. Basically, he's been using that 42 all race long here, but Alan Bledsoe, knowing he's a lap down, is going to go ahead and use that car. And as you see the speed, Mike, that Riley Hoots now has in that 24, they're out in the lead using that 42 as basically the lead horse, if you will. Just trying to pull him along the racetrack here with less than 14 laps to go. And that really shakes things up here, Mike. We were talking about how some of these guys up here in the lead pack haven't won a race yet, but I believe Riley Hoots has been to victory lane, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to go back and check out the regular season standings there to see if he was able to put his car into victory lane, but not a name that we usually call out here. But we talked about the unfortunate incident he had last week with the incidental contact we had with Parker Collins heading down pit road. That put him a few laps down. That really cost him the race last week, Mike. But you're seeing a line building up on that outside there between the Big Dog Racing teammates there. They're starting to realize that the laps are ticking down for them as well. You start getting up there, but don't look now there. There's the 0-1 of Kevin Bullock. No! And you see contact again on 3 and 4. Oh my goodness. And Kevin Bullock is caught up once again in that 0-1. Man, Mike.
They're going to be revving up that 10-4 broadcasting cushion and see exactly what just happened.
Wow. What an end to this race so far, folks. And that was a clean caution, I would have to say.
That definitely was.
And you see that I was just mentioning as that Big Dog Racing 3-car stable was building up there. And you saw a little bit of contact from Parker Collins on that 20. See cars checking up there. Oh.
Something. Uh-oh.
No. Is that the dreaded thing here in iRacing? Yes.
That is the dreadness.
That is what we like to call here in the iRacing simulator a little bit of netcode.
Oh man, that's definitely dreadful here for these drivers. The 54.
If we could rewind that just a little bit there, Mike, for the folks at home, we'll show what we're talking about here, folks, what netcode is here in iRacing. It's basically where iRacing thinks that you've made contact or somebody's made contact with you, and it's going to send you loose like you're in an accident. But as we take a look here, there was no contact made at all. And maybe he just got loose from the draft. But we'll see here. There's no contact, no contact.
Yep, you see the inside of the 22 just You see it get bent a little bit, and he didn't even touch him.
Oh, man.
Right here.
Didn't even touch him there, Mike.
No.
Man, I take that back. That might have not have been a clean caution at all. That might have been iRacing playing tricks on us.
Definitely. That's, wow. I definitely, this race is coming down to a different turn of events. Looks like we're going to have maybe, oh boy, and I see, the Red Dragon back on the lead lap. Oh boy. That's scary.
Yeah, Mike, it's going to be quite the finish here, folks. We do want to appreciate, shout out to everybody who's been tuning in here tonight for 10-4 Broadcasting. You have picked the right race to tune into here tonight. It's just been, I am speechless about the race action here tonight, Mike. We've seen everything, if you will. We've seen big accidents. We've seen cars get loose by themselves and crash out. We've seen a handful of different leaders here on the track. We saw Kevin Bullock have his car on rails until an unfortunate incident with a lapped car put him back a few spots. We saw some race cars that were racing up there that we don't usually call out with Nick Schell. And this race has just led to what we see now, folks. You know, we see a damaged race car, Darren Staff up there. We see Riley Hoots, I believe, that had to use a fast repair in that 24 machine. You see James Brusaker up there as well in that 3. You see Nick Offord in that 22. And then, as you said, Mike, that Alan Bledsoe in that 42 has had to work his way back up on the lead lap and is now in the 5th position. So as you see, there are a lot of big names, folks. If you were tuning in late here at playoff week number 2 here in the High Octane Sim Series, some of your favorite drivers may be out of the proceedings already here tonight with 10 laps to go. As you see, Parker Collins in that 54, Matthew Badby in that 89. You know, a few of those names have worked their way back up into that lead lap, Mike, but it's going to take a lot to take home that race victory here. But as you see, Riley Hoots doesn't have that teammate of that 42 machine up there to work with once again. He's going to have to do it all by himself with about 9 laps to go when they cross the line here when the green flag waves.
I think we'll have 8 cars left in this race that have at least a shot at the most.
Yeah, Mike, as you see that pace car drift off here, ladies and gentlemen, this is the last 10 laps here at playoff week number 2 here in the High Octane Sim Series. It's time to go green, 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 green once again here. As you see, Riley Hoots is going to lead them down into 1. Big restart out of that 24 machine, going down into 1 and 2 here. You see James Brusaker in that Men in Black. Good rinse machine, representing the best he can here at Daytona. You see Darren Staff looking like he just came out of a demolition derby in that 45-10-4 broadcasting machine. You see Nick Offord trying to form a line on the outside here, heading down the backstretch. You got Alan Bledsoe with him, as well as Nick Schell in that 8. Just not enough speed here as they head down into 3 and 4. You see Riley Hoots going to go up to the outside there, try to tandem with Nick Offord, try to throw a block, try to catch some of that speed that they were building up there on the outside. But you see Darren Staff's going to go ahead and push James Brusaker in that 3. See that gap trying to close just a little bit. They're going to cross the line here with 8 laps to go as they are now side by side. Nick Offord and Riley Hoots heading down into 1. You see that the 24 and the 3 are teammates. Hopefully they make that dream work, because we all know that teamwork makes the dream work here in the High Octane Sim Series. You see Nick Offord, the admin now of the High Octane Sim Series, now our race leader here, Mike. They're heading down the backstretch here with less than 8 laps to go.
And you see those tandem pushing, but one thing that you don't want to see is you don't want to see the cars in the back. The rearview mirror gets smaller, but still have the draft.
And Mike, and what a race it would be for Nick Offer to put that 22 machine into victory lane here tonight. As I mentioned a few times, he is the admin here in the High Octane Sim Series, the mastermind behind all the racing you see put on here in this league. What a league this is here in the High Octane Sim Series. If you want to check them out, go ahead and head to Facebook, type in High Octane Sim Series on there. Go give them a like and follow. Also go check them out on Discord as well. They're already forming up for next season. And as Mike mentioned during the early stages of this broadcast, they are rocking a money race here coming up here in the first or second week of June. There's a lot on the line here in playoff week number 2 here. As you see now, Mike, there's about 3 cars that have pulled off from the rest of the pace here as they are battling it out there for 4th position. You don't really want to do that here. You're losing pace.
You definitely don't. I believe that they went around the 45. It does have damage, so I don't think the 45 can pull. But the 45, I think there's what I'm understanding is he can push, but he just can't be the lead car.
Oh man, big run out of the 8 there, Mike. Big run coming out of the corner there.
And you see the 42, big run as well. And the 45 also about right there at tail end. Going around the 20 of Riley Lewis.
Here we go, folks. We're going to cross this line. Less than 5 laps to go. Nick Offord is our race leader right now. We've got Riley Hoots right behind him. James Brussiker right there. Nick Shell in that 8. Alan Bledsoe and Darren Staff is going to be the cars that are battling it out for the race victory here tonight. Trying to keep that 24 out of victory lane. Had a shot last week, Mike, but an unfortunate incident down pit road cost that race for Riley Hoots in those late stages. Hopefully we don't see the same here tonight. We see him battling out for that race win. They're keeping that pace here right now as they're heading down into 3 and 4. Nick Alford looks like he's going to lead them to the line here once again, folks, as they are coming around 4, heading down to the front stretch. Here they go. We're going to go ahead and cross that line here with 4 to go here, ladies and gentlemen. It is crunch time. It is time to make those money moves. Shout out to Cardi B. As you see, Nick Alford's going to lead them down into 1 and 2. As they go by the 51 of Kelly Thomas there. Going to leave 6 cars on the lead lap. And Mike, it is time to put up or shut up, if you will, here in the High Octane Sim Series.
Definitely the 24 and 3 are teammates. And I believe they might be stirring the pot here, coming down in the wire.
Ooh. That lap car is just going to stay out of the way here because this choo-choo train is a-coming. But ladies and gentlemen, throw those 3s up. Rest in peace to Dale Earnhardt because we got 3 laps to go here at Daytona live on 10-4 broadcasting. As Nick Alford's going to lead them down into a 1 and 2. Heading to that backstretch here, you got Riley Hoots and James Brussiker teammates right there. See another lapped car. That is Kevin Bullock. Now 2 laps down now. You see a big run out of that 24. Is going to give that 22 a push heading into the corner of 3. Got a big run. See if there are going to be any moves here. As they're going to go ahead and cross that line here with 2 laps to go. Nick Alford still your race leader here, Mike.
I believe the 45 is trying to make a move, but nobody's looking to go with him.
As you see, Nick Alford's going to go ahead and lead that pack around 2. Down into the backstretch here. And Mike, they have to start making those moves.
They still have at least another half lap to start making those moves. But
You see it.
I believe the 3 and the 8, you know, they're under 42. I'm going to say there could be a move really to be made.
It is time to go, folks. As we're going to cross this line, we're going to have 1 lap to go here in playoff week number 2 in the High Octane Sim Series. Nick Alford's going to lead them down into 1. You got Riley Hoots in 2nd place, James Brussiker in 3rd. And there goes Nick Alford around 1, heading down into 2 on that inside lane. There you get Riley Hoots right behind him, James Brussiker in 3rd, Nick Shell in 4th. You see Riley Hoots going to the outside, contact! They make contact, folks. Riley Hoots and Nick Offord make contact on the backstretch. We'll jump to the leader to see who's going to win this race. James Brussucker is in the lead right now, head down into 3 and 4. Nick Shell in the 8s right behind him. It's going to be a battle for the lead on the front stretch between James Brussucker and Nick Shell. You see if Nick Shell's going to make a move to the outside. He does. James Brussucker is going to close the door. You see if 3 is going to keep it strong to the line. Oh, man, it's going to be James Brussucker in that 3, picking up the race victory here at Daytona. He's going to put that all-black machine, the good wrench Dale Earnhardt tribute machine, into victory lane here at Daytona where it should be. Man, what a finish, Mike, and what a big win for James Brussucker in that 3 machine.
Damn, that definitely came down to the wire. And
wow.
We're actually going to see if we can take it back and see exactly what happened.
Wow. Yeah, we'll check out those closing stages for you folks at home. As you saw the 22 make contact with Riley Hoots on that backstretch.
Watch closely. I think I have another incident what we had before.
You're going to clip that back fender right there. Oh, man! And big move out of James Brussucker to narrowly avoid that. Just by the hair on his chin, just avoided that incident there on the backstretch. You see it right here, folks. Right there. Oh, man. Wow. And just kept his cool, kept that line, rode it to the finish. And, man, there is no better place to see that number 3 machine than in victory lane at Daytona. Wow. What a finish here in playoff week number 2 here in the High Octane Sim Series. And James has been working at it all season long. We saw him kind of falter off there. Didn't think he was going to make the playoffs at all. He snuck in just by the narrowest of margins. And look at him now, folks. He is at the top of the grid here at Daytona. As we're going to run you through these official results here, as James Brussucker in that 3 machine out of Kenny Power Motorsports is going to take home the victory here tonight. Got his teammate in Alan Bledsoe, the AKA the Red Dragon, and that 42 is going to finish 2nd. Nick Shell and that number 8 machine is going to finish 3rd. Darren Staff rocking that 10-4 broadcasting paint scheme here tonight at a Tiny Dog Racing is going to finish 4th. Nick Offord and Riley Hoots, who were tangled up there on that last lap incident there, is going to finish 5th and 6th respectfully there. Then you're going to drop down to the 7th position, and Kelly Thomas, 8th, is going to be Kevin Bullock, who led the most laps here tonight, but unfortunately is going to finish 8th. Riley Lewis is going to finish 9th. Phoenix Mattern is going to finish 10th. Matthew Badby, a regular season champ, is going to finish 11th. Parker Collins, last week winner, is going to finish 12th. Robert King, we saw him get tangled up there as well, is going to finish in 13th. And then Matthew Wilson, who parked his car, has been watching in the chat, has been cheering on his boy, James Brussucker, who took home the victory here tonight. Is going to finish in 14th position. Man, Mike, I'm trying to catch my breath over here in the booth because that was an awesome finish here.
Definitely. That was, that's what you call a great finish. You know, James was there at the end. We seen him towards the second half of the race. You know, he just ended up being just riding along, and wow, he was there at the end.
Yeah, I'm going to see if we can't bring in our 3rd place finisher of Nick Shell for an interview here to see what he thought about that finish. We'll go ahead and bring him up here into the booth here to see what his thoughts are. And Nick, this is Mike and Will up here in the 10-4 broadcasting booth. You got a coffee, man?
Yes, sir.
Man, what a race that was here tonight at Daytona. We saw everything that the folks at home love. We saw, wrecks, we saw caution flags, we saw green flag runs, we saw lead changes. We saw you up there riding in the top 5 majority of the race. We saw leaders get taken out multiple times. take us through your point of view of tonight's race and what you thought of tonight's action.
Well, I thought the race was really good, and I just was really just trying to stay out of trouble, and had a couple pucker factors going there, and so I just tried to stay up front with my teammates, Milsim, and we were working with a couple other guys, Kevin Bullock and them. So I was just trying to stay with teammates. We were trying to work together and stay up front, and eventually we broke away from the pack is what we wanted, and just kind of run away with it for a little while.
Yeah, unfortunately, we saw Kevin Bullock running up there. Basically ran, I'd say, his best race of the season so far, but unfortunately, like a lot of the people in the lead tonight, just wasn't for him. It was a lot of those people that were racing up there in that lead pack get caught up. They get taken out there. What did you think about the action here, and how were you able to avoid all of that mess to come home with a podium finish?
I think some of it was just luck. I seen a car go up and over me, and I don't know how I didn't get a part of it, but I guess a net coded through. It was a lot of net code. It wasn't a lot of aggressive driving or just a miscommunication on lap cars and stuff like that. So I just try to stay with everybody, and then I see my teammate kind of go around there late, try to stay low, and then got past late, but I was definitely going to push for it.
Yeah, man, that was probably one of the most exciting races that we've called so far here in the High Octane Sim Series. And, we don't really call your name a lot, unfortunately, but I think we're going to be calling your name a lot more here in the next couple races. How are you feeling with this confidence of how you raced here tonight at Daytona, heading to I'd say the biggest race of the year, if you will, because I'd say at this point now the championship's really anybody's in the Charlotte Roval?
Yeah, I'm actually a dirt guy. I race sprint cars, and I came over to do asphalt. So I'm still kind of green. This is only my second season with the league, so I still got a little learning to do. I'm going to put in some more practice this week and hopefully push for it and get another podium.
Yeah, man, we'll look forward to it next week at the road course. And if you're looking for some dirt leagues, we actually call a few. We're gonna have a late model series coming up on Friday nights. Coming up here on May 27th. So if you're interested maybe running that league, you might miss the first 2 weeks here running in this series, but coming home a podium finish here tonight. We look forward to what you have here the rest of the season, but with that podium finish there, Nick, we do want to give you that opportunity to shout out anybody that you might have had watching here tonight or any sponsors you might have had on that race car.
I got to thank my wife and Milsim Racing and everybody that helped me today, and you guys for broadcasting. You guys have been doing a really good job, so I keep it up, and I'll see you guys next week. Of
course, Nick, and the broadcast wouldn't be as awesome as it is if it wasn't for the awesome driving that you guys put on the screen for us to show the people at home. So we do want to appreciate the racing that you guys put on here tonight, and we look forward to next week.
Yes, sir. See you next week.
Man, Nick Schell, what a race it was for him tonight. As he said, he was able to avoid all that craziness there towards the end, avoid all those big ones, and he was racing with his boy up there with Kevin Bullock, but actually avoided that craziness and avoided all the craziness here on the track to finish P3. But I believe it is time to speak to the Red Dragon himself, and that is Alan Bledsoe in that 42 machine. Another car that had to work his tail off here tonight to get the job done, to come home with a second place position. And Alan,
from two down.
Yes, sir. Another action-packed race here tonight. Oh, and the Florida Panthers just won their hockey game, so I'm excited about that. Sorry about that. I just wanted to jump in there for a second. Had to work for it again here tonight, man. Take us through your point of view of tonight's action, and what did you think of the race that was put on here at Daytona? We had basically a bit of everything.
It was a very up and down day. I don't even know where to begin. Like that was a crazy run. I mean, from the very beginning, I got disqualified in qualifying because so there's this little bit of a hack. Not really a hack, but you can go backwards on pit road, get a little bit of momentum, heat up your tires a little bit and stuff by going backwards for maybe 100 feet. Just gives you a little bit of a speed advantage. and I got disqualified like as soon as the black unfurled flag came out. So I was like, oh boy, this is fun. So I had to start at the back. And throughout the race, we were just working hard with my teammates, and the high side just did not go. It was amazing how difficult it was to get the high side to move. So we were just we got through the first two stages. I lost the draft in the second stage, but the third stage, we were just hanging out on the inside because we knew that we couldn't get any momentum on the high side. And it turned into a I don't know what to call it, not necessarily a caution fest there at the end, but it was a bit of a poo show, if you will.
I guess to use a PG way of saying it, I would say it was really competitive there. You know, we saw a big shakeup there with a lot of the names that we usually call out here in the High Octane Sim Series were knocked out of the race, you know, with the likes of Parker Collins and Matthew Badby, and that really opened the door for a lot of other people. But I think your incidences happened earlier in the race, and you're able to climb back in after being 2 laps down once again there. Definitely, if there was a hard charger award, I'd have to give it to you, and another MVP award, if you will. But you're racing the playoffs like you raced the regular season, and you came into these playoffs the highest points total without a win. Are you feeling like heading to the Charlotte Roval next week that you'll eventually get this 42 machine into victory lane?
You know, obviously, I'm not going to win at the Charlotte Roval. Like that's not happening. But I am really, really good at Homestead. I am circling that track as one of my favorites to get out there and take the win. And if I'm in position to win the championship, that's where I'm going to do it. So I'm excited for Homestead. Michigan is a little bit different. I don't know what to expect out of that race, but we're going to find out, you know?
Yes, sir, indeed. And I'd say it's really anybody's championship heading into the Charlotte Roval next week and then beyond that race as well, because it's not like what we saw during the regular season with the likes of Parker Collins and Matthew Badby kind of going back and forth. You know, of course, we saw Parker Collins win that first race, but then tonight you saw both those guys finish multiple laps down. I think looking at the grid here, Parker Collins finished 21 laps down and Matthew Badby finished 17 laps down. We saw you get another top 3 finish, and then James Brussecker, who basically literally came out of nowhere, you know, really faltered, kind of stumbled through the regular season, made it into the playoffs, and is now a race winner here with only 3 races to go. So I'd say it's really open to anybody to win this championship.
And Shell got a top 3. I mean, good for him. I mean,
yeah.
Brussecker, my teammate, man, that was awesome. That was a great run. I tried to take it from you, but that was a good run, James, and that was a well-deserved win.
Gosh. And just narrowly avoided that wreck between Riley Hoots and Nick Alford as well.
Yeah, barely.
Just barely.
But yeah, my wreck happened on lap 86, when Rye and Alford just kind of net coded there, and it just turned me head on into the wall. I should have pitted there. I should have gone into the pits. I would have been way better off, but I had no radiator, so the engine just overheated really quick. Anytime you touch the gas, it was the temperatures would spike. So I was like, oh boy, this is not good. And then I blew up in turn 2. So had to tow there and ended up 2 laps down, but just got a couple lucky breaks with the cautions, and really, really proud of the 42 team. Really proud of KPM for sticking with it. Yeah, let's go put ourselves in position for a championship, guys.
Yes, sir, and we expect nothing less out of Kenny Power Motorsports there, Alan. But of course, with that podium finish, we would love to give you drivers the opportunity to shout out any of those sponsors or anybody that you might have had watching here in tonight's proceedings.
Well, my dad, my dad sent me 4 texts uh, throughout the end of, or before the end of that race. He texted me. He was like, "Well, that sucks when I got wrecked, and then you're back in this thing now. Holy cow, what a finish! You just needed about 200 more feet." So yeah, my dad was watching the whole thing, and it was a really exciting race for him especially, and anybody rooting for that 42 car. I was out of it, and then I came back in it, and then I almost won it. 0.040 seconds back.
Phew. But, I thought we were going to have a photo finish there at the end.
It was kind of. But I'd like to thank my team as well, James and Matt Wilson, Matt Batby. All of you guys were awesome teammates, have been all season. And obviously, I'd like to thank you guys. And as well as my wife. She had to deal with a terrible screaming baby all race long. She finally got him down at about 10 o'clock Eastern, and then at the end of that race, I got my voice a little bit too high.
Oh no!
I woke him back up, and now she's mad at me. So
somebody's gonna.
She's a full-on trooper, I tell you.
Oh yeah, the baby monitor's going off, and you're like, "I'm about to win, honey. I can't. I'm sorry."
Yeah. So I just want to thank her, even though she doesn't watch these races. I want to thank her for everything she lets me do.
Of course, and again, a big congratulations from us here at the 10-4 broadcasting booth on your new little one. I'm sure it's difficult to race with a little one going off in the background. You're trying to win races, but hey, so far, it's been your good luck charm here. Ever since your little one was born, you've been racing the best races you've raced all season. So who knows? The good luck could just maybe win you a championship here.
Trying to be that good influence,
That's
Get him into racing, and he'll be really good at it too.
Yes, sir. But Alan, we look forward to seeing what you have in store for us next week at the Charlotte Roval. It doesn't sound like you're too confident, but the way you've been racing here so far, I'm sure we'll see you get in victory lane here pretty soon, and we appreciate you here taking the time with us.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, guys. Have fun with James. He's really excited. He might be drinking a little something. So
I hope so.
So yeah, ask him a couple questions from me.
Yes, sir. Of course.
Have a good one, guys.
Alrighty. Man, Mike, I hear you back there on the mic, and that's the Red Dragon himself coming home in P2 there. I think in the next few races, we're going to see that 42 in victory lane, because I don't see him finishing outside the top 3 any more of these races here. I mean, it's 2 races in a row. He's had to come back from multiple laps down, and he still finishes in the top 3.
Definitely. I mean, Alan's the one that needs to win, but guess what? That's the 3 car that ends up in Daytona in victory lane.
And I think we got that. We're going to have to interrupt the party that is happening down on victory lane right now, and I'm sure James is feeling like Ric Flair in victory lane right now. He's feeling like Stone Cold with the 2 beers in his hand on the top rope. Celebrate down there right now. James, you got a copy down there on the radio, man?
Oh, well, yeah.
What?
Hey, you threw the Stone Cold reference out there, and I had to go with it, man. Damn, it feels good to get that monkey off my back.
Woof, man, that was I would say the most high octane race, if you will, no pun intended, of the season here. And you were able to conquer the beast that is Daytona. You avoided that accident between Riley Hoots and Nick Offred just by the narrowest of margins. Take us through your point of view of tonight's race and what led to that blacked out number 3 Dale Earnhardt tribute to end up in victory lane here tonight.
Sweating bullets. There was just moments of frustration, moments of, all right, we've still got a shot at this. My spotter in my ear was just doing a hell of a job, man. Once that happens, like, they're wrecking, go low, 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 low. I'm like, all right, we got this. Let's get by this and see what we can do.
Yeah, it was that type of race, as we saw a lot of the, I'd say, no offense to you, a lot of the bigger names here in the high octane sim series, with Parker Collins and, Darren Staff was mixed up a few times, and Matthew Badby as well. A lot of those guys were out of the race early. I think a few of them finished 20 or so laps down, so it really came down to a lot of you guys that haven't won a race yet in this season. And man, what a finish it was. What were you thinking there with, say, about 10, 15 laps to go? Did you feel like you had the car to win this race here tonight?
I was sticking to the plan, man. I was going to work with the team. Riley was ahead of me. Our plan was coming out of 2 last lap. We're going to shoot high, try to get past Nick and sort it out between ourselves. And they happened to get caught up in it. I luckily held off the 8. Alan had a hell of a run coming on the outside. So I feel like I lucked into it.
Yeah, we're watching on the screen here that incident that happened on the backstretch there on the last lap, and you narrowly avoided it just by the smallest of margins. Did you feel like once you cleared that you had this race won, and did you know that Nick Schell and Alan Bledsoe were going to come with a lot of speed with you by yourself?
Once I got clear by that one, man, the only thing in my mind was block.
You had those Bud Lights already cracked open, ready to celebrate down into victory lane, and man, you have been fighting all season long. As you came on to this interview, you said you got the monkey off your back. We saw you kind of stumbling down the stretch of the regular season there. You were nervous whether or not you were going to make the playoffs. You got into the playoffs. We saw you last week, didn't run your best race per se at the beginning of the playoffs here. But tonight you are a race winner. Just take us through how you are finally feeling here in Victory Lane.
Man, my whole goal was to get one win this season. That's all I wanted. I had a shot at the 500. I had a shot at Talladega. To finally pull one off, as much as I hate restrictor plate racing, damn, I'm good at it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'd have to say so. And what a paint scheme to rock here tonight at Daytona to put that car of all cars in Victory Lane here. It's no better sight to see of seeing that all-black Goodwrench machine in Victory Lane at Daytona.
Well, I mean, the playoff spoiler and banner, it's kind of the yellow throws it off for me because it's not vindicative of my rebel approach. to quote, the namesake of our team here, Kenny Powers.
Yes, sir.
But no, man, I'm glad the team wanted to play along with the RCR DEI schemes we ran tonight as well. So shout out to those guys.
Yeah, take us through what you thought of. Okay, we just spoke to Alan Bledsoe, aka the Red Dragon, there from.
I love the nickname, by the way. I don't know where it came from, but I love it.
We gave him that. Actually, my co-host here, Mike, gave him that nickname because of last week. Because our new sponsor here in High Octane is W Energy, and what's their flavor called, Mike?
I believe it's Dragon.
Dragon or something.
Aid.
Dragon. Dragon Aid. So, with the way that Alan's raced here the past 2 weeks, of coming from multiple laps down to get podium finishes here, he's kind of gotten that moniker now, the Red Dragon. Take us through how you were able to use your teammates there to put you in this position here. We saw a lot of that, whether it was the Tiny Dog Racing team, whether it was you guys at Kenny Powers. We saw a lot of teamwork taking place here tonight at Daytona. Do you think it was really your teammates that helped you win this race here tonight?
Oh, without question. Without question. And that's every single plate track we run at. Our goal is to get hooked up together and try to make our way to the front.
Yeah, and we saw it, especially with Alan Bledsoe on that 42. Nick Schell played a good part in that as well, in that number 8 machine. And fortunately, Matthew Wilson was a early retiree in tonight's proceedings. But man, it's good to see you in Victory Lane here. And I think one of the broadcasts we saw you struggle really hard was at the last road course we called. I think it was either on lap 1 or 2. You said, forget it, I'm out of this race. I think you parked it and headed it out, I think, on lap 3 or 4. How are you feeling now with this extra boost of confidence heading into the Charlotte Roval next week? And now, man, you've put yourself in an awesome position to have a shot at the overall championship here in the High Octane Sim Series.
don't get me wrong. I'd love to win that thing, but Batby's going to get it. I just got a feeling. Like that kid's just too good.
It's really wide open now. I know, of course, he got those 10 bonus points. He got a stage victory here tonight, but he also finished tonight's race 17 laps down. So I'm sure that's going to play a big factor into next week's race at the Roval. Do you feel like the Roval is going to be a little bit better than your last road course race here in the High Octane Sim Series?
Absolutely not. I suck at road courses. I'll just be brutally honest. Next week, not going to be a good week for me.
Oh, man, but before we let you go, get back to celebrating, crack you open a couple cold ones, smash them together on the top ropes there, let them drain down.
Hey, we got a couple of Steve Austin's American lagers sitting in the fridge, man.
Yes, sir. It's time to crack those puppies open.
Let's do it.
You finally get that opportunity to get the floor, to shout out anybody you might have had watching here tonight, any sponsors you had on the side of that race car. The floor is yours, buddy. Go ahead.
Man, big shout out to all my friends at work watching. Obviously, the Good Wrench team. These guys are killing it on pit road, and I'm glad I could bring them home a trophy tonight. Big shout out to my team. Like, without these guys, this wouldn't be possible. KPM, Schaefer Enterprises, it would not be possible. And lastly, a huge shout out to the league and you guys for putting this all together for us.
And we wouldn't have as much fun up here if it wasn't for the driving skill of you guys here in the High Octane Sim Series, and especially the skill you showed there on that final lap, avoiding all that craziness, really avoiding all the craziness throughout tonight's race. And you put that number 3 here in victory lane, and man, a big woo from us here at the 10-4 broadcast.
2 claps and a Ric Flair. Ready? Woo!
Woo! I think we share the same sentiments as the rest of the league here in the High Octane Sim Series. I think we're all cheering for you to put that 3 machine in victory lane here, and we finally get what we all wanted here to see that 3 machine in victory lane. And man, we can't wait to next week, and maybe, just maybe, we might see this 3 car competing for a championship here down the stretch. But James, big congratulations from us here at 10-4 Broadcasting, and we appreciate you taking the time with us here. Go crack open those loggers and have you a night, man.
Hey, man, appreciate it, guys.
Yes, sir. That was James Brosecker, our winner here, Mike. Finally puts that 3 machine into victory lane. And man, what a night it was here in the High Octane Sim Series.
Definitely. We've seen chaos, we've seen devastation, so to say, and we've seen something that we would never thought we would see, but then we ended up coming home and we've seen a new race winner in victory lane.
Yes, sir. I mean, it was that race, I would have to say, Mike, it was high octane from start to finish. No pun intended. I mean, we saw the big names that we always see running in the top of the pack. We saw some new names running up there as those guys got taken out. I mean, we saw controversy play out just like last week between Riley Hoots and Parker Collins. We saw Robert King collect Kevin Bullock on that backstretch. As you know, Robert was in the chat. He's taken all full responsibility for that, and we appreciate that. You know, it was one of those situations in the time where we're all kind of speechless of what happened. And you know, it happens at restrictor plate racing, and it looks like Kevin was okay with what happened there as well. But that wasn't the only event down the stretch there, as we saw Nick Alford and Riley Hoots. Again, Riley Hoots is caught up at the end, and he can't put that thing in the top 3. And Mike, it's really, you know, James doesn't really have that confidence thinking the championship is his. But the way this race played out here tonight, it's really anybody's championship with only three races to go.
Yeah, I was just looking at the point standings before this race gets scored, and you know, I think James does have a shot at the championship. You know, Riley and Matthew, yeah, they probably have in their mind, yeah, I can win a championship. But we've seen here tonight, anything can happen. Whether you dominated the regular season doesn't mean you're going to win the championship.
I mean, that could be said about the Florida Panthers as well, but they looked like they wrapped up their first round series here tonight. They were the best team during the regular season. Hopefully they're the ones holding the trophy at the end. But Matthew Badby now has put himself in a hole, finishing tonight's preceding 17 laps down, heading to the Charlotte Roval next week. And we saw it when we ran the Daytona Road Course a few weeks ago here in the regular season. That's a tough track. That road courses aren't many of these racers' forte, to say the least. We saw Matthew Badby struggle there. Parker Collins actually picked up the race victory, but he had to work his way up there. So it's really anybody's race next week. And, depending on who wins next week, we could have a third different winner here in the playoffs, which makes the second to last race here in the playoffs really the race for the championship, because if we have a fourth different winner, then it's just going to be anybody's ball game in that last race.
Definitely, and at the road course, I believe there's no cautions. So
if you
have an incident, you can be on your own. That I did not see the full rules as far as the road course, but I believe that, in iRacing, the default settings is there is no caution. So if you go off track, you don't want to overdrive it, trying to, make a mistake and hit yourself because, I messed up one turn. Now I gotta, make up for it. Don't do that. You just want to be patient, because the leader might have an incident, in one turn, and now you're back to where you were.
Yes, sir. And if it's anything like when we saw those modifieds run at the road course a few weeks ago, we have a new record holder here at 10-4 Broadcasting with Daniel Rowe winning at the Watkins Glen road course by 26 seconds. So I'm curious to see, as you just mentioned, there's no cautions at the road course due to iRacing stipulations. So, you get in trouble early. If it's one of these big names that we saw here tonight, maybe it's Alan Bledsoe again. He's come from 2 laps down, aka the Red Dragon, and he's worked his way back up here at these super speedways. He's not going to be able to do that next week with no cautions, Mike.
Definitely, the road courses, when I looked at the schedule and it said Charlotte, I'm like, okay, they're going to go to the oval. And I'm like, no, that's the Roval, which is the road course version. It is a different animal when you look at the Roval from Daytona. Totally different track, so to say. So it's going to be definitely interesting how these drivers are going to take to the Roval. I know in the past it was a fun track in the Gen 6, which is the current car that the league is using. But when you get to the next gen, you're looking at something else.
Man, and something else it was here tonight, Mike. As we just mentioned, we saw a couple of the big names get caught up. We saw what we thought was going to be the race winner, Kevin Bullock, get taken out. We saw what was going to be the race winner, and Riley Hoots used the 42 of Alan Bledsoe to pull himself in the lead. Him and Nick Offord, who we thought was going to get his first win of the season, tangled up on the last lap. We saw James Brussecker barely avoid that, and I think he's the fan favorite here in the High Octane Sim Series. He's the driver that everybody wants to see win, and we saw the chat go crazy when he won with a lot of woos and let's go references in the chat. So, man, what a big win it was for James Brussecker tonight. But all of this action wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for our awesome sponsors here. I'll get my pointing right here tonight. Captain Jack Smokehouse right here, and also W Energy as well. Go over here. There we go. W Energy right up there in the corner as Mike is pointing to it up there. None of this wouldn't be possible if it was for those awesome sponsors we have up here. Go check them out. Go check out W Energy or WDUBBY.GG. Use coupon code HOSS at checkout. Get 20% off there. And if you want to see some awesome barbecue, go check out Captain Jack's Barbecue over here, Smokehouse. If you live in Florida, you're close to Amelia Island, definitely it is worth the place to go, because I tell you what, I don't have that type of barbecue down here. I think Riley Hoots can attest to that as well. Doesn't have any barbecue in Palm Bay like that. I mean, we're going to have to drive a solid 3.5, 4 hours to get us some decent barbecue up there at Captain Jack Smokehouse. But If you loved what you saw here tonight at 10-4 Broadcasting, we invite you to go check us out on Facebook at 10-4 Broadcasting. Go like us, follow us, all that good stuff on there. Or go check us out on YouTube at 10-4 Broadcasting. Go give us a subscribe, hit that little notification button. Because, Mike, this isn't the end of the action here at 10-4 Broadcasting for this week. We will be back live here tomorrow night with Mitchell Adams and Patrick Morrison. We have one more race before the playoffs start in a Powerhouse Racing League. They run ARCA cars in that series, Mike. And then Sunday night, if the folks love us, they'll see us on Sunday night, bringing to them live action out of the East Coast Tour Modifieds there. That action starts at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then on Tuesday night, you are actually the admin and race control of the Virtual Racing Association that starts at 8 p.m. Eastern. That broadcast is going to be led by Tim Hammond, and then I'm co-hosting that as well. And I believe, Mike, we are creeping up on the start of a new series as well for us on Friday nights, and that's the late model, the Eastern Late Model Series as well.
Yeah, I do have at least a driver entered into that series out of my team. He's looking forward to running a couple races. I know I'm also going to be sponsoring 1 or 2 races, I believe. I got to double check with that, but definitely looking forward to some good late model action. Those cars are almost like the trucks on iRacing. So if you're looking forward to some great action, tune in to Friday, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
We're going to have, I believe, a different crew for the first 2 weeks of that.
Yes, sir, just for the first 2 weeks, because it's going to be the second to last race here in the High Octane Sim Series, and then that following week is going to be the championship race here at Homestead. And then after that, this series will pause for just a few weeks, folks. So don't leave the High Octane Sim Series just yet. We'll be back with those next-gen cars, as we mentioned during the middle of the broadcast there. But, man, Mike, a lot to look forward to the rest of the week here at 10-4 Broadcasting. And, of course, as Mike mentioned, there is a money race that's being organized here by the High Octane Sim Series. We'll get you that date once it is rescheduled and rocking and rolling. I believe Mike's going to throw up that information just a second here. As you see, there we go. They're going to run fixed setups there, $20 entry, but you are racing for cash money there. So no better way to spend your Thursday nights. Probably going to be a Thursday night there as we're still racing here in the High Octane Sim Series playoffs. No better way to spend your night than racing for some real cash, Mike.
Definitely. And if you happen to win, I think there's another race coming up as well. This is the Mission 22 charity event. I know, this is something that's been close to you, Will, for sure. This, if you win, check them out. This is also late models and also tour modifieds. Something that's can be a different charity or a different mission, a different way to spend that winning victory money.
Yeah, Mike, and I know there's a few veterans that race in this series here in the High Octane Sim Series. Mission 22 represents veteran suicide and mental health awareness. So if you want more information about the Mission 22, head over to mission22.com, or if you want more information about this charity event that's coming up here at the end of June and the 1st of July, these are brought to you by the Super Late Model Series and the Wheelin' Modified Tour, the East Coast Modified Tour that we call there, and TJ George Esports. If you want more information about that event, head over to TJ George Esports to find out how either you can donate to this event or how you can participate. All race winnings, all donations are going to go straight to Mission 22. I believe that's a cause that should be more spotlighted here in the United States. Not only mental health, but definitely the mental health of veterans around the country. So, for more information about that event, definitely go check them out at Mission 22 or TJ George Esports. And Mike, I believe it is time for us to wrap it up here at 10-4 Broadcasting. And man, I am still sweating and out of breath from the end of that race. And I am pumped and excited for next week at the Roval. Unfortunately, I will miss that race up here in the booth, as it is my mom's birthday on the 20th. So you will be joined by a different co-host. I'll definitely be watching from afar. But I am excited to see who's going to pull out that victory here next week. But tonight, We saw the man in black himself, James Brussicker, in that number 3 Goodwrench machine win at Daytona. Of all races, it was Daytona. He was able to put that number 3 car into victory lane. But for all of us here at 10-4 Broadcasting, myself, William Tiller, and Mike Maddox, we want to wish